All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. And we are back live on this channel that's Unveiling Faith after a long, long time. And this is due to one reason we decided to split. And this was the thought before we started these two channels, Philo Sapience and Unveiling Faith. The thought was that we'll have Philo Sapience do the Hindi Urdu stream, and then Unveiling Faith will have a new crop of viewership, which is gonna be more oriented in Australia, maybe Western or English speaking world, basically, right? So West, maybe Europe, some parts of Europe, and maybe Australia. And so we are back live on this channel, thinking that we'll just try to promote this channel and have viewership here, which is from those countries, or at least majoritively from English speaking nations, right? So welcome, Madin, and welcome, Kali. How are you two doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, Kali.
Yeah, I'm doing well as well.
All right, so I think this debate has caught up the whole world. I think, right? Pretty much this debate between Javed Akhtar. This I don't know how much of a repercussion it had in maybe UK. Martin, maybe you probably didn't even hear of it
No,
at all.
I've not heard of it at all. No, we don't know the figures. We don't know who they are. We don't understand
Yeah,
the
but
language. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but totally. I mean, this debate has caught up at least entire maybe southeastern, not southeastern, but South
yeah,
Asian Islamic world, pretty much, or maybe the whole of the nations, pretty much, like
maybe
the continent.
Maybe
Yeah.
Pakistani or Urdu in Hindi speaking Asians in the UK maybe know of it, but it's not been a massive, not something that's circulated a lot here. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what the reason is. Even everybody's talking about that. Even in India, major even the TV channels are talking about it. So yeah, it has caught up the eye of the world, pretty much, at least in the subcontinent, you can say, right?
Yeah.
Eye of
Possibly.
the subcontinental world, maybe you can say. So what we're
Yeah.
gonna do is we're gonna again critique some, not directly, but indirectly, we're gonna critique this debate. And Dawahwise is a channel that we usually, critique snippets from. So there's one guest caller that's gone on to the Dawahwise channel, and we're gonna just critique it. So let's just add it and listen to what he has to say. So this just for uninitiated into this debate. This debate took place between Javed Akhtar, an Indian screenwriter, screenplay, lyricist, and whatever you have. He is an open, very what do you call vehement atheist in India, and he has got a Richard Dawkins Award as well. He's been, decorated with quite a bit of Indian civilian honors as well. And the other side was a young Mufti named Mufti Shamail Nadwi, right? And so the debate took place in the capital. Uh, the good thing about the debate was that everything went well. There was no heated exchange of ideas. The one thing that Khayali and I expected, and since it was in Hindi, Urdu, I knew that we'll have to review it sometime. And we did it in at least two or three parts. But this time, what we're going to do is have this conversation, listen to it, and the central point of the argument that was presented by uh, Mufti Shamail would be addressed in this one. So let me just add it and start it right away. All right, all of you can see the screen, right?
Name collectors. Hamza Atheist.
Hello.
Right, you've labeled yourself atheist. What's your religion?
I'm an atheist.
I know. What was your previous religion?
Oh, I'm ex-Muslim.
Okay. You are an ex-Muslim because?
Yeah.
Why did you leave
discuss
Islam?
the argument?
Why did you leave Islam? What was the reason? What was the key reason?
The arguments just, they didn't convince me.
Yeah, give us a key reason.
Wait, that's not a key reason?
No, give us. You say arguments. That's quite vague, isn't it? So give me something specific, and that is the main.
Like the arguments for the existence of God, like contingency argument, like those sorts of arguments.
Right. So you got an argument against the contingency argument?
I don't think it's successful. Yeah.
Successful in what? What do you think is the purpose of the contingency argument? What is its objective? Let's see if you understand that.
Well, it's usually split in two stages, right? Like you first
No,
prove
no,
that
what is
it's
the objective? What's the objective of the contingency argument? What purpose does it serve?
well, the first stage is just to prove that there's a necessary reality, like a ground of all existence, right?
A necessary reality. Okay.
Being, you can say being.
Right. Go on. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, and then stage two is to prove like specific attributes to show that the necessary being is a god,
No,
right?
the stage two is not in that argument. But anyway, so
What?
do you actually believe there is a necessary being?
Let's pause it for a minute.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you who among you thinks that stage 2 is not part of contingency argument?
I mean, I think it is.
I think this is, to be fair to Hashim, I think stage 2 is a later addition in probably 19th and 20th century. Initial argument was just the
necessary. Yeah,
necessary existence. That's about it.
But the thing is, this the Hashim's kind of kind of tone here seems to be that he seems to trying to be lecturing from a position of authority or something to this atheist, right? And he's getting it wrong in here. Like, what do you think of there's loads of contingency arguments. Which contingency argument? That would be the question, right? That would be the question. Which contingency argument are you talking about? Which version, right?
Exactly.
So like, what do you understand of the contingency argument? What do you think it's his purpose? There isn't one uniform contingency argument. There's very many popular ones. So the fact that Hashim is talking in such authoritative terms and he kind of misplaces that understanding is, when you show arrogance and you can't justify it, this is exactly what we see on the screen right now.
Yeah, totally. As if he knows that argument in and out, and will realize it as the conversation moves on that that's exactly not the case. But anyways,
I think
just yeah.
I think the bigger problem is that the Muslims don't usually present contingency argument in this. They don't build the case by showing that there are different kinds of contingency arguments. What they do is they do take this approach of stage 1 and stage 2. This is generally the Muslims' approach, and Hashim not being aware of this, I think that is, a bigger problem. That even how do even Muslims use it? Mohammed Hijab and how they have used this argument in debates and on their channels. This is how they use it: stage 1 and stage 2, and yet Hashim just dismissing it, saying that still isn't. I think it's very strange.
Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of doubt because the original idea from whoever it was, Ibn Sina and Ghazali, didn't work on stage 1, stage 2 separation, by the way, right? So maybe we can give him benefit of doubt over there, right? But then not knowing about different and even with those arguments from Ibn Sina and Ghazali, the contingency argument has always been, and from a very Islamic perspective, it was dependency contingency, a very specific form of contingency. No other form of contingency was used, at least as far as I can remember. And someone in the chat can correct me, or you guys can correct me, right? So yeah, I mean, he, as Madin pointed out, you have to talk about that very specific contingency argument if you are dealing from an Islamic perspective, or otherwise spell it out which version you are using, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do believe there's a necessary being?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss.
No, but I'm asking you. You said you're an atheist. So
yeah,
what is a necessary being for an atheist?
Well, it would be mechanistic, right?
It is what?
It would be mechanistic rather than conscious. That's the main difference. That's why there are two stages of the contingency argument.
So what is the necessary being for you? How would you identify it?
It would be, it would have all the attributes of God except consciousness and all the things attributed like agency, knowledge, wisdom. It would just be mechanistic.
Where are you getting this from? Which atheist believes this?
Which atheist believes this? I don't know.
So you're a unique atheist who believes in a necessary being that is not conscious.
Yeah, isn't that like the definition of atheism?
I don't think you were ex-Muslim. I can guarantee that. Neither are you an atheist. You're a Hindu who is hiding as an atheist with the name of a Muslim.
What?
Yes,
What are you talking about, bro?
I'm talking about you. Why didn't you just admit
Okay.
you're a Hindu, man? Come on. Okay,
Why
I'll ask
would
you
I
a
lie
question.
to you?
I'll ask you a
Wait,
question.
why would I lie to you?
Hold on. I'll tell you why. Do you reject all Hindu gods as false gods?
Yes, Hinduism is nonsense.
No,
Is
say
that
all
good enough
Hindu
for
gods
you?
are false.
Yes.
Say it.
Say what? All Hindu gods are false?
No, don't ask me a question. Make a statement.
Yes, all Hindu gods are false. Hinduism is nonsense.
Okay. And you are an atheist who believes in a necessary being who is not conscious, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, explain.
Okay, but can you explain?
Can you
Okay,
pause
never
it?
mind. Yeah, so I'm just
I mean, since it's a long discussion, I think I'll try to be as brief as possible. But yeah, I think Hashim is too used to accusing people of being Hindu. I think they have a lot of problem because they find discussing it matter with Hindu quite easy because they just bring up they want to play the whataboutism game whenever it's convenient for them. So I think that's why they prefer the caller to be a Hindu. Anyways, I think Hashim should know. Hamza also might not know, but there are many. I'm not saying majority, but there are many popular atheists who
And atheist
believe in the necessary
philosophers,
being.
Charlie.
Atheist philosophers who believe in necessary being. Graham Obi believes in it. Now even I believe the cosmic skeptic. I think he believes in it. So in fact, in the recent video, I think I heard that as well. So I think he believes in fundamental and necessary reality. So yeah, that's
Mm.
what the point is. One can
And for a
believe
lot,
in the
yeah,
necessary.
and for a lot of people, it's just space time.
Exactly. It could
Yeah,
be that. For some people, it's
yeah,
like quantum field. It could be that. Whatever
exactly.
it is.
With
So
quantum function, it could be
yeah,
anything,
whatever
like
it is.
just,
But it does not have those qualities or attributes which are necessary for it to be a god. And I think
Hmm.
Muslims, and I've seen a lot of people not sort of getting their head around this concept that, oh, I mean, I have had this discussion in chats quite a few times now when I mentioned, okay, necessary being exists, but that is not necessarily God. Like, what do you mean by that? Then what it is? What is it? I mean, I would say the exact same thing. I mean, a necessary existence need not have will, consciousness, knowledge, and all of these other attributes. But they're like, what do you mean? And then what it is? And if it's not God, so these people are so used to contingency argument they don't realize the contingency argument stage one. There are many atheist scholars, as philosophers. I'm not claiming majority, but there are many who agree with the stage one argument, but not the stage two.
Yeah, of course.
In this,
I mean, are these people on this panel now completely utter stupid to the reality that atheists believe that the universe might be necessary or eternal?
yeah,
You know, it could just, if that's the case, that's been the case for a long time. They know that that's a front runner contender
yeah,
that's been um, spouted, if you want to call it, or propelled into the
mm,
sphere of debate as a contender to what the fundamental basis of reality is. That the universe is just eternal; it just
yeah,
exists,
exactly
or a
right. In fact,
multiverse.
right,
These are all like, this is a very very common point of view from a lot of atheists, that they just think the universe is what all that exists, or universes, plural, and that's just necessary. They may not spell it out like that. They may not follow it through the contingency argument, but clearly there's
mm.
atheists believe in stuff like that, right? So I'm
We'll
not
have a
talking about
lot of
infinite
problems.
regress of causes. There might be just
Yeah,
one thing that it fundamentally bottoms down to, which is just the universe itself. And why is this a shock? They know this, in particular because why do they go around to explain? Why do theists go to then talk about arguments for mentality or mind or consciousness, that this being must make a decision, must have a will? They have, as you mentioned, stage two. They try to demonstrate will existing, or conscious existing, or desire existing, or design existing, right? So clearly they recognize and grapple with that fact. So why are they shocked? Right? Why
I
are they
think
shocked?
yeah,
this perception is coming from the maybe early 19th or the early 20th century, when the eternal universe kind of a theory was on vogue, right? And what theists thought of atheist or agnostic was that to be an atheist or an agnostic, you have to believe that all those who are atheists or agnostics have this belief that universe is always eternal, and they can back it up. But the things have moved on now since whatever, and the
Yeah.
new age philosophers have a different belief. They can go back all the way to agreeing with a prime mover, but they don't say that prime mover has any consciousness or has any of those attributes. It could just be a quantum wave function or whatever, right?
So
Whatever.
according to these guys' point of view, you can only be an atheist if you're. It seems like it. You can only be an atheist if you believe in either an infinite regress, or the universe came from nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Or you just don't know. Those are the
Yeah.
only three options. If you believe anything is necessary, you're no longer an atheist.
Right.
That's what it seems like what they're saying.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they're just injecting their God into that picture and that sorry existence. That's about it.
And they'll have a lot of trouble getting their head around this, that there are people or atheists who believe in a necessary existence. Washim and Mansoor will have a lot of problem understanding this. I think Sabur understands this because he'll just jump directly to another type of line of argumentation. But Mansoor and Hashim both will take some time to question him about this
To
concept.
grapple with it,
Yeah.
totally. Of course, I mean, among us, I think, Khali, you are one of those who,
Yeah, I am. I believe in necessary existence.
And I think Mahadin and I are maybe not as convinced, probably.
No, I'm open to all the other possible. I don't think there's anything wrong with an infinite regress.
I'm of the same. I'm of the same opinion.
Yeah, but there's not many other options, right? There's either an infinite regress or things come from nothing, or but those options, those categories that I've described, contains multiple different options of how things come from nothing or how things come from an infinite regress, which is consistent with the cosmology in this situation, right? The cosmology, the scientific cosmology community, they think about it like that, right? Where the universe can be part of another bigger universe, which can be part of another bigger universe, or whether or not they sustain each other, or and there's
or the looping or whatever you may have,
exactly
right? So many different. I think there might be some options which we can't even imagine right now,
right.
beyond our imagination. But let's not go there, right? Because then somebody would say, you just going into just blind imaginations. Anyways, let's move on.
Saying that stage one it's completely consistent with atheism, right? Because atheism is just a lack of belief in God.
Explain the bit which you just said. You believe in a necessary being which is not conscious. So if this necessary being exists, is it within the universe or is it outside the universe?
No, it transcends the universe.
Can I ask you some questions, Hashim, here? What's the definition of God in your understanding?
A volitional agent that created the universe.
Volitional agent plus creator. Okay.
Yeah.
And your understanding of the necessary being is something that necessarily exists? Yeah?
Well, I mean, it depends. Some just say it exists in all possible worlds, but you can say it's something that hasn't.
Is the
well, a necessary being would be a thing that just exists, without any external factors bringing it into existence.
Yeah, so I want to understand, I mean, maybe I used the wrong term, being. So do you believe in a necessary thing that exists?
Yeah, no, you can use being, and being and thing is same thing.
Okay, fine. So define your position first. Let's understand that and see whether we and you have these similarities or differences on where exactly the difference may be. So what is your understanding of the necessary thing or being?
Yeah.
I think if I'm not wrong, he's already explained it twice now. This will be probably the third time he'll be explaining the same thing. Let's listen to it. Right?
I think a lot of the confusion comes from describing it as a necessary being. Being sounds very anthropomorphic, right?
Yeah. That's why I try to use existence, right, instead of being, right?
Necessary or just saying a necessary entity,
entity maybe, yeah. All right, let's
a first cause or something without a cause, uncaused cause or something.
Yeah. No, but when we use uncaused cause, then it becomes like the causal contingency and not the dependency contingency. Right, and that's the problem there. Anyway, let's move forward.
You don't want me to define it, right? You want me to explain the attributes?
No. Just what is it? What is it?
Yeah, so it would be a mechanistic, eternal, independent, immaterial source that generates the universe out of the necessity of its own nature.
Does it have a
Necessity
will?
of own nature, right?
Have a
Yeah.
will?
Yeah. So when it transforms things, like we are a transformation of this necessary. What let's call this let's not call it yet. Let's see whether we can agree. Do you think our universe proceeded from it somehow?
Preceded? Like temporally, or like how preceded?
Is our universe that thing, the necessary thing?
No, it's not.
Right. So our universe is a result, is a creation, is a transformation from that necessary being, right?
Well, transform implies that it existed, right? I mean, it's not. It didn't transform.
I want you to define.
It came into existence. Yeah, so it came into existence, like Big Bang.
Okay. Our universe came into existence. So that coming into existence, so because it came from this necessary being, okay, so we can call, because this is coming into existence is creation, right?
Yeah.
I think just want to point out that he said that it came into existence, but I think later on he will say that he doesn't believe that it is ex nihilo creation. So it's when he says came into existence, based on what I've heard later on, he doesn't mean ex nihilo creation, which is it does not exist. It did not start to exist from nothing. It's just by creation he means like atemporal causation. And that's what we'll discuss later on.
Right.
This he will clarify later on.
Yeah, I think we can understand that as well, because when he's saying that he thinks the universe came from this necessary thing, he means that the universe didn't come from nothing. He means it comes from the necessary thing.
Yeah, but someone might hear the words came into existence and they might hear, okay, what that means is it didn't exist and then it started to exist.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that he does.
Yeah, but then when somebody says it transformed, wouldn't that be correct as well?
In fact, he sort of clarified that. Yeah, he said that it
because
didn't
then
transform. Exactly.
yeah,
So he sort of implied it already. You're right in pointing that out. So he sort of denied transformation, but again he used the word it came into existence. So someone might get confused with those words. So I think that should not be understood by those words that he believes in ex nihilo creation. I think it's clear that later on will also clearly mention that he believes in atemporal causation. So yeah, I think we'll go to that. We'll explain it or discuss it when we reach that point. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so we can call this necessary being the creator. So that we are
if it's a synonym for cause, then yeah, like fire is the creator of smoke.
No. This thing that came, you can call it the one that emerges, right? The one emerges this universe, or brought about this universe, sure. Caused this universe. Call it.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it? Call it something. I want to have that term, so then we can move it from there.
No, you can just call it a first cause.
First cause. Okay.
Yeah.
This first cause, in your understanding, is not self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So from it, the universe came into existence. Okay. So you need to have a rational way of explaining how it came from the first cause. Did it come with an intention or volition, or did it come without it?
No, it came without it.
Okay. And what's the mechanism?
Well, it's necessary.
So you think the universe as it is now was necessary in this way? It couldn't have been a different way?
If you're using necessary in a different way to independent, then yes. Like it will be.
So I think just a very subtle point, and maybe I'm incorrect, and point me out, you or Martin Kelly. He said it came necessarily through it. It didn't say, and Mansoor is saying it came this way. Was it necessary to come it this way? I think that's not what he said. This atheist guy, what's his name, right? Hamza, right? He said it was necessary to come from that. But this way, he didn't say anything about it one way or the other, right? So just wanted to make that point, right?
Necessary causal chain, but it wouldn't be
could you and I,
independent.
Could you have been a woman, for example, instead of a man? Or is it necessary to be a man?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he understands what your question is.
Look, our world, we are...
I'm just trying to understand this. Sorry for pausing it so soon. Just trying to understand the gravity of this question. Could you have been a woman? And I was listening to this podcast by Alex O'Connor, right, or maybe somebody else. The problem of identity, right? If let's say if I were a woman, Would I be I? Because I defines the entirety of me as right now, as what I am right now, right? That includes being somebody, let's say some person X, being a male, 6 feet tall, having a certain complexion, having a certain features, right? That's the entirety of me, right? Apart from all the, all the experiences, right? And even if sans one of those things, probably the identity, the question of being me is probably, uh, not not applied, basically not applicable, right?
Maybe,
So
maybe.
I'm
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, the question, could you have been this? I don't see that question to be a valid question. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, and I think I agree that problem of identity would apply over this, but I think Mansoor maybe could have, I don't know, maybe he could have worded better.
Better example, yeah. Could you not have existed? Could have been something else instead of
Yeah.
you.
I mean, yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, what he's trying to say is that this word universe have been any other way? I don't know. Maybe you should have worded that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's
It would have
better,
been better.
fair
Yeah.
representation of.
For example,
Could-
instead of you existing,
Yeah.
could it have been barren? Instead of
Yeah.
humans existing, could it have been a barren? Could it have been any other way? In other words,
Yeah.
if the thing is necessary, can the effect of that, the effect of the thing, necessary thing, be contingent? That's what they mean.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
could it have been otherwise, or was it necessarily the case that it has to create that one necessary type of world? That's what they
Yeah.
kind of mean. So all this, yeah. So his question is a bit misframed by saying, going into opening up the route for an unnecessary
Yeah.
philosophical conversation about identity. I mean, what I think Philo is referring
This
to
could
is,
be avoided. Yeah. This could be
yeah,
avoided.
yeah. I mean, the Philo is talking about is an interesting question about essential qualities versus non-essential or accidental properties. Essential versus accidental. For example, it might be an essential part of my identity that I am Madin, with these thoughts and feelings and desires and consciousness, right? But it's not an essential part of my identity whether I have a beard or not, right? So if it's not essential, it's an accidental property, meaning my humanness, my Homo sapienness, my South Asianness, and then finally my specific individual qualities that make me. What's pertinent to that is not these accidental properties, such as whether I have facial hair or not. Whether I'm a lawyer or whether I am a philosopher. And people, so this is a very philosophical conversation. Then people might say, what if you just define your identity as strictly to what you are now, which means that I will change every day. If today I stop being my day job, stop working in my day job, and next week I become a barber, I would stop being Nadeem, right? That is the issue of defining things so narrowly and tightly to being what I am right now, that it will mean nothing is. I can never retain my identity from week to week, from month to month, right? So this is kind of the intuition that it kind of creates. So then the question is, another way to think about it is, imagine a triangle, right? What are the essential properties of a triangle? Well, it's 180 degrees, it has 3 sides and 3 corners, whatever. Those are the essential properties. But what if it was a yellow triangle? Would it stop being a triangle? Well, no, it's an accidental property of the triangle. It's not essential to its triangleness, right? And that's how we kind of, using the same analogy, now applied it to human beings. What are essential properties of humans? What is, then more closely, what is an essential property of me being Mahdeen, right? And what's the accidental ones? So this is a big debate in identity, and if anybody wants to read about it, they can go on Stanford Encyclopedia and read about it. And some people argue it just matters how you define these things.
Yeah,
Some people
and
are
it's a
descriptivists, right? Go
very
on.
debatable topic, by the way.
Yeah,
Very
yeah, but it has
debatable.
nothing. Yeah, it is absolutely an unnecessary tangent here to go into it. Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Like, for example, I have 2 hands. Can you see? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it necessary that I had 2 hands, or I could have been created with 3 hands or 21 hands, right?
Like, are you saying, is it conceivable?
No. Is it necessary that I was this way, human beings with 2 eyes rather than 1 eye in the middle of the head? Was it necessary I was created this way?
Look,
It's very interesting that he brought the example of 2 hands, because according to Islamic I would
I
say
know where you're
hadith.
going.
Yeah, God has two hands. Now,
Two
these are not
hands.
human hands, but
Yeah.
it means something, and whatever it is, it has two.
Yeah.
So the question is, well, is it necessary that God needs to have two hands? And
Yeah.
if God can have these certain specific kinds of attributes, we'll go touch this on later, but just wanted to sort of highlight this right now, that it's very
Right.
interesting that he brought the example of two hands.
Right.
Thing is, the word necessary has, like, there's different modalities, right? Like there's logical
You know what
necessity.
necessary means?
Well, usually we use metaphysical modality.
Come on.
When
you
we
can't
just
tell
say it
me
without
about,
qualification.
well, I use jargon here. We know metaphysics, ontology, epistemology, all of that, right? The panelists are just waiting to say not to use this kind of jargons for the benefit for the people. When you say something,
I'm not going to use the jargon. Like,
okay.
The thing is,
so
when you say,
let's see if you agree. When we use something mean necessary, it means there was no other way. That is the only way. That's necessarily follows that way. Necessary means that was the only way. There's no other way.
No, in normal language, when we say necessary, it's like it's in relation to a cause, right? So cause can be conceivability.
Let me rephrase it. Okay. You know about the contingency argument. We say something could have been a different way, right?
Yeah. That's conceivability, right?
No.
Conception or conceiving something is like, for example, our Earth could have been a little bit bigger or smaller, right?
Yeah,
possible.
That's conceivability.
Possible, so now we understand between possibility.
Yeah, I think he's been saying the right thing. It's conceivability, of course, right? Could you conceive something to be something else, right? Could you say possibility? Maybe. I think both are synonymous in this, at least in this discussion. I don't know what you guys think, but then the more
I think he should
formal, the more formal way is to use possibilities, basically. But I don't think conceivability is such a horrendous word to use.
I think I think conceivability is the right term, although sometimes Muslim or people who present this argument, they want to avoid this word because it sort of becomes dependent on this conceivability. But I think this is the right term, because you conceive it to be any other way. You can possibly conceive it to be any other way. It's just that conceivability aspect. So I think it's right to use the word conceivability.
It could be possible. So either it was possible, or it was necessary, or it was impossible. Do you see the distinction between all these three?
Yeah, but you're not. You agree with me. Look,
let me explain to you so to see we can understand. My physical makeup either is just one of the possibilities of many, or it's impossible to be in this way, but I am already here, so it's not impossible. Or it's no other possibilities. I have to be this way. It's necessary. Yeah. So you have possibilities, and you have impossibilities, and it's something that it's necessary. It's that way. So the universe that resulted or caused by this first cause, is it necessary that it's that way? Could it have been different?
Yeah, non-conceivably, yeah.
It could have been different, right?
No, it can conceive to have been different.
Come
but
on.
No, it could not have been different.
Are you saying there's no other way our universe could have been created from that cause?
Yes,
that's
because it's necessary, right? Yeah.
That's the only way, right?
Yeah.
So my pen here, it's like black and a little bit orange stripe. So it's necessary it's like this. No other way.
No, that doesn't follow.
Okay,
no,
let me try, because I think
can I just add for this? So Hamza, to just clarify the thoughts, okay? Let's break it down to logical necessity, physical necessity, and metaphysical necessity, right?
Yeah.
So logical necessity is based on the laws of logic. Physical necessity is based on the laws of physics.
Yeah.
And metaphysical necessity is based upon the laws of metaphysics. So you are saying that you believe in a metaphysically necessary being. Can you confirm that?
Just to be clear, metaphysical necessity and logical necessity, the difference between it isn't exactly clear. Like, it's very controversial. Like you said, it's based on the laws of metaphysics, right? But what is the laws of metaphysics?
Okay. Let me put it to you another way.
Can I say something? Just to make it simpler.
I just want to clarify.
I think this guy has asked just a very simple question, straightforward question. Instead of answering that question, Subur goes on to, let me explain it some other way. All right, why not just straight away answer the question that he's asking?
I think Subur did good there too, because I was thinking the same thing. And necessity has to be defined here, which type of necessity you're talking about. So that's a good thing that he did that. But then Hamza has made an objection to those distinctions and asked Subur to properly define and delineate between the two things and what they are. And Subur seems to be avoiding it, at least in this couple of seconds. I can see.
Yeah,
But
at
yeah,
least it appears to be so. Let's see if he clarifies that. What is
yeah.
metaphysical, Okay, let's see.
Right. Now, do you understand the distinction between logical necessity and metaphysical necessity? Do you first
I understand what the claimed distinction is, but I don't actually agree with it. Like, I know what the philosophers say about it.
Okay, because I'm just giving you the vanilla understanding of philosophy. Do you agree that this is the vanilla understanding? Like, everybody understands this broadly?
Well, you said it metaphysical is based on the laws of metaphysics. I don't actually know what that means. Like, what are the laws of metaphysics? And are they distinct from laws of logic?
Okay, so something abiding by the laws of metaphysics in terms of its grounding. So Euthyphro's dilemma, piety is grounded by the laws of God, that kind of thing. When it comes to logic,
we use laws of logic to make these arguments, right? Like,
no,
dilemma.
I'm not saying these things are not linked.
Yeah.
Metaphysical necessity is linked to physical necessity. We know this. Physical necessity is going to be governed by, or we're going to understand it through logical necessity. We're not saying these things are not linked. What I'm broadly trying to get to is, what type of a necessary existence do you acknowledge? Because it sounds like you're agreeing with the conclusion of the contingency argument. You are not agreeing with the conceptual understanding of the attributes of that necessary being. I think that's where you stop, from my understanding.
So usually this is called the gap problem, right? Because stage one is consistent with atheism.
Okay, good. Yeah. In that case, we need to stop this conversation about the definitions of the necessary being. Your problem is the attributes of the necessary being.
That's how I started the conversation, right?
Okay, good. Then you.
The definitions of a necessary being, do the attributes count in the definition or not? I would like to think that in certain cases that might, because it depends on how you define God, at least, right? When they define God with certain characteristics that compose of the attributes as well, along with it being a creator itself, right? So I think there is an issue there. I think Subur has got it slightly misplaced, I think.
I think he understands what he might have worded it based on where he'll take the conversation. I think he understands correctly Hamza's position, that basically necessary existence, the contingency argument, stage one, where it takes you is a necessary existence, right?
No,
so
but
whatever it takes.
maybe I'm just the problem in his semantics, right? His semantics are slightly off, I would say. It's all the definition. It's all
he
the
could have
definition.
used exactly. I mean, when he said that attributes, the problem is with the attributes, he should have clarified, and this is what Hamza mentioned, that this entity, necessary existence that he believes in, has all the attributes of a god, except that it does not have will, volitional agency, a knowledge, moral character, and all of these things, right? So these things, which actually makes that necessary existence god, is what is missing. So I think Sabur gets that point. Now I think he might have worded it a bit, I would say, not very precisely.
Or shall we move on? Okay, let's move on.
Bringing in the different types of, sub-understanding.
He also said the necessary being is not conscious.
Okay, so let's just break it down this way. The conceptual analysis of the necessary being is the conversation we should be having, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good, fine. How about this as a point of us just having a nice conversation? Since we are beings in this universe that are conscious, then the necessary being which brought us into existence should be a being that is in of itself, by its nature, conscious. What is wrong with that argument?
Just to be clear, is your thinking like the effect has an attribute, therefore the cause must also have that attribute?
I wouldn't say in those words exactly. I would say the sum of the effects need an explanation, and that explanation is best explained by a conscious being.
Yeah, but what is the reasoning behind this? Like, why is it best explained by consciousness?
Okay, so would you agree with me with something very simple? A part of something cannot be greater than the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, would you say that is absolutely true?
Absolutely true. A part of something cannot be greater than the whole. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so are you aware of the principle of proportionate causation?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you think that's a valid principle?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Fantastic. So since we are conscious beings, we have to explain this consciousness from the effect that we believe caused us. So from the being that we believe that caused us, rather. Therefore, since we are conscious beings, why would we not infer that there is a conscious necessary being that brought us into existence? It makes total sense.
Yeah, but my question is, why would you think that?
Okay,
That's why
wait
I
a
asked, is it because you believe we have
Can we pause?
consciousness and the
wait.
So I think when Hamza sort of simply put it that, and he asked Sabur that, okay, are you saying that the effect has an attribute and therefore the cause must have it? I think Sabur is actually, he's making that same point. This is what he's arguing for. So I think
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
specific way.
He's arguing for the same point, but he's putting it in a very
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
subtle
can I
way.
just clarify? Yeah,
Yeah,
can I just help clarify it? I think what he's trying to, he's weakening it a little bit. He doesn't want to abide by the strict
Yeah.
kind of logical rule that if an effect has a property, then the cause of that effect must also have that property. He doesn't want to strictly frame it because he knows the issues with that it will create,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. So he's trying to
Yeah.
say that it's the best inference rather that it
Right.
must share. Right, so it's more like is it like a probabilistic argument that is most likely the best theory to explain these effects is that
And
it
what
must
the
have
objection?
some of these.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the objection to that, Madan, I'll have is that then I'll ask, what is your level of confidence that your God is real? And he'll say 100%. So then that's kind of weakens his point that he's just saying it as a inference to best explanation for this. His inference is not the best explanation. His inference is
maybe, but the thing is,
yeah.
I wouldn't go down that route because he may have other reasons why he thinks, right? Other than, so he may not think this argument in and of itself gets you to that 100% certainty. We can talk about
What other
how it gets you
arguments
there.
can
He will. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll listen to this, but I think
Mm.
he will stick to this point quite firmly for a while now. I mean, in this video, and in fact, he will become a bit. Right now, he's being a bit, as Mahadin rightly pointed out, he's being a bit more. What was the word that he used? Maybe softer or not being very
Yeah.
strict. Strictly
Yeah.
agreeing with that, although
weak.
wording it that
He's
way.
using the weak
Yeah.
argument.
So he's not
Yeah.
saying that he strictly agrees with that. Seems to be saying that, but actually, I think based on what he'll say later on, what he will say, I think the only way to understand it is that he's saying that this is the only way. If we have consciousness, that then God, the necessary being which created us, must also have this
Must
consciousness.
also have a
Yeah,
consciousness,
this
right?
is how he will. Probably, I mean,
Yeah.
as much as I
Move
can
on
recall.
to it. Yeah.
But
And
let's
yeah,
listen.
and I think he's going down the route of a problem of consciousness. He's trying to strengthen the idea that consciousness is best explained by consciousness. I think he's probably going down that route, or consciousness can't come from non-conscious things. Him talking about the whole. I'm not sure exactly where he's going with this, but him talking about the.
No, he's
Do you agree that
Madan.
the
He's simply
part must be part? Go on, sorry. Go on.
what he's trying to do is he's trying to prove that the necessary being is conscious.
Yeah, obviously, I know that. Yeah,
Yeah. So this
I'm
is what he's trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, but he's trying to make the argument through the argument of the problem of consciousness, right? That the consciousness just arise out of material things, or just it must be the case that the best explanation, you might want to say the best theory to explain consciousness better than the other ones, more likely hypothesis is that consciousness came from consciousness. That there must have been and he's trying to use this kind of whole is greater than the part. The part must be
The part
smaller than the
cannot be
whole.
greater than the
Yeah,
sum of the
yeah. I'm not sure
sum of the
exactly how he's trying to
parts.
utilize this here, but I think is he trying to say that like our consciousness is the part, and we must have we're obviously smaller than the whole, but I don't exactly see how it relates.
I'm not sure how that relates to it. I'm not
It
sure how
doesn't
that relates
follow.
to it.
I agree with you, Madhu. That
I agree as
doesn't
well.
seem to be
I don't know
following,
how
right?
does that
I
relate to
mean,
this.
let's say what he's trying to say is part cannot be greater than the sum of the parts, right? Or the whole,
Yeah,
basically, right? However you want to put it.
yeah. Which is
I'm
nothing
not
to do
quite
with
sure
nothing. Which is
I'm not
nothing.
quite sure how would you go to from that part, let's say part being the consciousness of limited human beings,
Yes,
to whatever the whole is and the consciousness of that whole. I'm not
exactly,
quite sure
exactly. Because stating that the part must be in mathematical terms, if you want to call it, smaller than the whole has nothing to do with explaining qualitatively what the part and the whole consists of, right? Because clearly the part can be completely different from the whole. Like the part of the part of, let's say, your computer is very different from the whole, right? in terms of in terms of its mechanistic fluidity and the part and the components and what it does, right? The part might not, for example, be able to the part may not be able to, for example, encode data, but as a whole it can, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'll put it this way. I mean, I'll give you an example of, let's say the nuclear reaction between hydrogen atoms
yeah,
combining with each other to release energy.
or
That
the
does not
sodium
mean
chloride.
that the whole
Yeah,
sun, combines with hydrogen or with itself or others to
yeah.
give energy.
Or
No,
sodium
that's not
chloride,
it.
for example. Yeah,
Yeah,
sodium and chloride combine to form saltiness, but sodium and chloride separately are not, right?
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, is the part greater than the whole? No, it's not. Is the part smaller than the whole? Yes. That's all we can say about that. But in terms of the
Yeah,
qualities can be different. So his point doesn't add to the quality aspect. In fact, throughout the universe, we see parts of things don't have the properties when aggregated together and put
don't have the
together
same
in a
property. Yeah,
yeah
don't have the same.
yeah put together. It has different emergent properties, like water, as another example, right? Water, parts of water, depending on how finely you want to, fine grain way you want to think about it, all the way down to, let's say, one molecule, it doesn't have the property of wetness, right? But the whole, lots of water molecules has the property of wetness, right? Now, so is the part greater than the whole there, or is it
No,
is
it
the
is
part?
not. Yes,
Yeah, exactly. The part is smaller than the whole. It's
smaller
fine.
than the
There's no
whole.
contradiction or problem. But it can differ
It
in the
doesn't have
properties.
that same property. Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't have the
exactly,
same property.
exactly.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
what's the point he's trying to get at here? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Short of long is that it just doesn't follow. That's about it.
Hmm.
What he's trying to claim doesn't follow, right? I mean, the consciousness, limited human beings, smaller parts, you call them human beings, don't have that. Have the consciousness, but collectively, whatever brought about that those
Yeah.
beings
Yeah.
does not necessarily need to have that
Yeah.
quality. That's about it.
Yeah.
Needs to have the same attribute. Is that the reasoning? And you denied that, but then you didn't explain
No,
what exactly is the reasoning.
I didn't deny it. I put it in more precise terms. The principle of proportionate causation is something that you agree with, right?
Yeah. That is the way Edward Fraser says it, I guess, because that's the only work I've read of it.
Okay, but let's just say we're sticking to the standard Aristotelian understanding of it, right? Because it goes back way before the contemporary thinkers. Since you agree with the principle of proportionate causation, you have to logically be consistent and agree that since we are all conscious, then the necessary being that brought us into existence must have consciousness.
No, proportionate causality doesn't say that the attribute needs to be present, like not physically, but it can be present imminently as well. Like you can have the power to create an attribute, but not have the attribute itself. So I don't think your logic follows.
Okay, so let's put it in other terms. If you are saying, okay, so the necessary being has the potential, and this is good that you said this, right? So I'm just going to stick to your words, not mine. Since the necessary
no, I don't say that actually, by the way.
Okay, no, but
I was just defining the proportionate causality. I didn't say that I believe that, because obviously if it's necessary, it doesn't have potentiality.
Okay, one second. Do you agree that we have consciousness? Let's just agree on something. We have consciousness.
Before Kylie speak, can you see the case is kind of falling apart now, and Hashim has disappeared because he realized this guy is not just some run-of-the-mill atheist, which he thought he was, right? The other two guys have fallen in the background. Mansoor has been outclassed. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's on a different level. You need to take Subur out, the guy with the PhD, apparently, to really now deal with it, because it's getting to the level of deeper thinking. I can see, Yep.
No, even till this point, I think even Subur is taken aback pretty much, right? I mean, he's trying to get an argument which Hamza is saying it doesn't follow, and he's right there. I think we just demonstrated that even logically it doesn't follow, but we just gave examples that why it doesn't follow. I mean, there's no reason, and now he's just like clutching at straws. Let's see what he says. Oh, sorry, Cal,
I just wanted to say that it's very important to note what Hamza just said. He has said that it is the necessary being, so it has no potentiality. It is already actual. I don't know if he used the word actual, but he has already sort of clarified over here that the necessary being cannot have potentiality because it is necessary, and basically what he means is it is timeless and already actualized. So there is no sort of lag between delay between being potential being actualized. So there is no delay in that. So there's no. He has already clarified that, because this will come in. This will be relevant for what will be
For
discussed later on.
future, yeah, and you're right. I think anything that necessary being or existence, let's say,
Mm,
uh, creates has to be necessary as well, right? I mean,
mm.
there's no two
And
ways
and not
about
just that, it should be according to him, it should be timeless, atemporal causation. So there is no
it. Yeah,
potentiality within it, because
yeah.
potentiality
There is no
means
potentiality. It is
yeah,
all
okay,
actuality.
already
Right?
actualized. Exactly,
Yeah,
all
it's
actualized.
all actual, right? Yeah,
Okay, yeah, let's go.
And
totally.
before you guys go, if you turn it into the inverse, it seems as though if you go with the idea that the effects must somehow be the effects of the cause. If the effects of the cause, if the causal creator, if you want to call it, or the cause behind things must also possess the effects, or the potential of the effects, or the qualities of the effects, let's say, qualities of the effects, and not merely just the potential.
Mm.
Because Hamza is talking about it might have the potential, but it doesn't mean that it must have possessed that quality itself, right?
Yeah,
If
exactly,
you turn it the inverse, then clearly physicalism would be true entirely,
exactly,
right? Then the cause
exactly.
must be physical, because wait, we got a physical universe. What's the how
Exactly.
are you
Then
telling? So then you're
it
gonna have to accept a physical create cause, because you have
cause.
physical effects of this universe.
Yeah.
How would an immaterial, timeless, spaceless thing create space-time? How would a timeless, immaterial, spaceless, non-physical thing physical things? We
Right.
have
Exactly.
much stronger data for that. So
And
if Subur wants to go down this route for consciousness, he has to then he has to explain how a conscious
Yeah, he
deity
has to bite the bullet
explains
for the
non-conscious
inverse
things.
as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the relevant question would be is, I mean, you can ask Sabur that, okay, it's not just with the principle that you have just mentioned would not just apply to consciousness. It would apply to every attribute that we see in this universe.
Yeah.
That should be there in God.
In God,
Now,
right?
when you will
Only in
ask
reverse. That's it.
only
Yeah.
universe, yeah. And the
Yeah.
problem is that even if and I had this discussion in the comment section of this video as well, and I asked the question, okay, if this is the principle that you want to follow, that consciousness, if we have consciousness, then the cause that brought us into existence must also be conscious. Then okay, does this necessary being also have emotions? Does it feel pain and pleasure and hatred and disgust and all of these feelings, emotions as well? Because in order for us to have emotions, using the same principle, that being should have these emotions, because
Right.
just like consciousness should be there in that. So I think
Right.
the response that I got was, and I want to highlight that, and generally this is how they respond. And the problem with their I want to highlight the problem with their response as well. Someone responded, well, you know what, we do believe that God has emotions and all of that. I said,
But
okay.
they are metaphysical.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
So
just
I said,
yeah,
okay, then God, does your God feel pain
yeah, yeah,
and hatred and all of these things? Like, no. He said, no, let me correct myself. I didn't mean that God has emotions, but I mean, God has these things which it's not like our human emotions. It's because God is free from deficiency. So, it's very different. So essentially, you're speaking of something essentially different that is there,
but that is
that we
that
have.
is
Yeah. So
yeah,
you're using the same word only, and you're just saying that, yeah, God has it, but it's essentially different from what we have. So
yeah,
then why are you even using the same word? And even if you're using the same word, then the principle would not follow, because it's not that it's the same. The word that you use is irrelevant. We are talking about the concept. So, and I
yeah,
think we should ask this question as well. Does our consciousness, does it have any similarity with the consciousness of that creator that you believe in?
yeah.
Any?
No, and
Because
then see,
doesn't the
they'll try
Quran
to
say
find. Okay,
exactly? No, no,
sorry,
what I'm
sorry.
saying
Go
is,
ahead.
doesn't the Quran mention that there is nothing like him? There is nothing at all that is like that entity.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if you say that our
Yeah,
consciousness, in terms of our consciousness, we are somehow similar to that entity, are you agree? Are you ready to say that? That his consciousness is at some level at least it is similar to ours,
Yeah.
or ours is similar to his. Are you ready to say that, agree to that at least? Because when you'll ask this question, clearly they'll say, no, it is essentially different. It is very different than ours. Well, if it's very different, then why are you even using this logic? This
Yeah,
logic
what
would
is
not apply if
then?
you're talking about something
Then
essentially different.
all these words that you're using, that God
Yeah.
has
It's just
has
deceit.
consciousness or has emotions,
Yeah.
feels good, feels jealous, and all those things. These are then just word pawns, pretty
Word.
much.
Yeah. Because I can, in a similar manner, I could say, yeah, that entity has consciousness, but that consciousness is essentially different.
Non-causal. That
It's almost like
it can't will
it's
anything,
like
pretty much.
unconsciousness.
Yeah,
So,
it
so I mean,
it can't will
yeah,
anything, pretty much, right?
yeah.
It
Yeah.
can't.
So I mean, if this is how you'll play the game, then I think we'll not be able to argue at all.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but then we can put our arguments there that no, then how can you tell that consciousness can cause something, pretty much, right? Has the causal power, pretty much, right? Or the will, basically.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you agree that this needs an explanation?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you agree that the principle of proportionate causation is a valid principle?
Yeah.
Applying, okay, let's take these premises. Applying the principle of proportionate causation to the premises that we just agreed means that what brought us into being either is conscious or has the potential to create consciousness. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, if you are going to say that that being is not conscious, but it has the potential to make us conscious, then that being is making a choice. It has volition. It has will.
No, there's a third option.
No, you're stuck now.
No, it is an easy third option that I don't think you can get out of.
Okay, what's the third option? Let's hear it.
The third option is that it's not a potential, that it's already actual.
So you have a necessary being that has all the programs to make our universe as it is, right?
Yeah.
Does he have any other programs?
Programs? Like what? Like, could it have you mean like could it have made a different universe? Is that what you mean?
You're saying this necessary being, the first cause, has inherent rules, intrinsic rules.
Yeah.
And these rules are intrinsic and they automatically execute themselves without any choice.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So does he have any other rules to make another universe, for example?
No.
How do you know that?
Yeah, so this is the reason why I wanted to discuss, but
you said no. You said no, right? So I want a rational explanation of your position. How do you say no?
You hear me out first, bro.
Okay, so just before, I like to get to the fine-grained analysis.
Pause it.
From my understanding, Hamza, when you came here.
So I'm not sure when Hamza said that this necessary being does it have would it have created any other universe? If it means that there could be multiple universes, then I think it could have. But if he's saying that like if this universe could have been any other way, then I guess what Hamza is trying to say is that it necessarily sort of follows from the necessary. I mean, it necessarily emanates from the necessary existence. Well, in that case, it could mean something.
Yeah, I think that's what he means. That if you're talking about this universe, then it is a necessary creation,
I guess so, yeah.
from that necessary existence.
I guess so.
Right, but there could be other universes as well, right? I mean, so, but then I think I'm still struggling to see where is, and he's I'm thinking that Subur has weaved a net, kind of a trap, in a sense. He started talking about, do you believe in proportionate, what is it, causality, right? He says yes. And then principle of proportionate causality, yes, he says yes. And do you think that part cannot be greater than the sum of the parts? And he says yes. Then it should follow that whatever that consciousness we have, that whatever created us has to have one. I don't think where it is following from, right? It's just that necessary being has the potential to create consciousness or has consciousness. Are these the only two options? I don't think it is, and that's what Hamza has said as well. Not quite sure if he's still trying to make this point, for what reason. Okay, let's listen. Madin, you want to add something or want to listen a little bit more?
Do you want to take on this? Do you want to take on this comment by one of our viewers?
No, I think nothing to say here. I think we have been We are coming on this channel after a long time, and we don't have a lot of viewers as well. I don't think it baffles us too much or it worries us too much. We are happy doing our own streams. Yes, we would like to have maybe 200 live viewers to start off with, maybe just 50 live viewers, but that's okay. I hope someday that'll change, and if it does not, I think we probably won't stop doing our streams, because we do enjoy talking philosophy. And so it's just a kind of a channel for us to get all these thoughts and ideas out of our system. I think it's true for me, maybe, and I think it's true for Mahaden and Kali as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why we are here. And then we like talking, and whatever, I think 8, 10, 12, 13, whatever number of audience we have, I think we think they are loyal audience and like listening to us, and hopefully they'll help us maybe reach 100 live viewer mark someday. That's the hope, at least. So yeah, I don't know if I answered, if that was a question or a jibe, or I don't know, whatever it was.
You believe the necessary being does not have consciousness. You said that categorically.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you've shifted your position to saying the necessary being has the potential to create consciousness.
No, it's already actual. Why do you have to keep repeating myself, bro?
Okay. Where is the actuality? Where is the actuality in this?
Okay, the main reason for this is because, and Mufti Shamail agrees with this, right, that the necessary being has to be timeless, right?
Okay,
the problem with being...
Wait. No. I want you to be so precise here.
So, this is literally directly relevant. You need to let me finish.
No, what's happening is you're going off, and I want you to be very clear here.
I am directly going to answer. You just don't let me finish.
No, because I've actually caught you now. You made a statement you cannot justify. You made a statement you cannot justify. You said right near the beginning that being is not conscious. You said that categorically, and you just acknowledged that you said that. Now the point is this: we are conscious. We are the effect of that being, meaning that being existed before us.
I don't know about before, because I was just talking about timelessness.
Here we go. Here's where the Hindu philosophy is coming in.
You are so desperate, Sapur.
Come on.
you know what? One flaw I find in all this conversation is he's saying we are the effect of that conscious being, right? This earth an effect of that conscious being? Is the sun an effect of that conscious being? Are these galaxies or the millions and billions of suns the effect of that conscious being? In that case, everything should be conscious, right?
I don't think so. I think he might not be arguing for that.
Maybe, see, I think when you try to backtrack it, no, I'm saying, let's say if you take those things into account, they don't have consciousness, because those things don't have consciousness, and then the parts, the whole has the same quality as the parts. Does that make the maker of those things as non-conscious then? I'm just trying to take this argument back from...
no, that's exactly... Yeah, we talked about this like 5 minutes ago or something. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I don't think... then he's not seeing the problem. He's not seeing the problem, and Hamza's not raised that problem, seemingly, which is... It's just it's a stupid point, right? Like the... either the cause has the potential to create consciousness or has consciousness. Well, similarly, either the cause has the potential to create non-conscious things or has non-conscious consciousness, or and they have the same issue. I just don't see the issue. They obviously believe that the cause, in their case, God, has the potential to create non-conscious things, but is not non-conscious. Simple. What's the issue? You've got a symmetrical situation here where the cause, God, has the potential to create non-conscious things, right? But isn't conscious himself.
Right.
Sorry, isn't non-conscious themselves. It isn't physical. It isn't physical. He has the potential to create physical things, but isn't physical himself. If they're able to accept that, why can't they accept the exact symmetrical issue? It's just simple mathematics. It's not complicated, right?
Right. So the distinction between what we spoke 5-10 minutes back, Mahaden, was we were talking a little bit more abstract, not abstract as such, but we were talking about molecules and salt and all those things, and the point wasn't getting across. And that's why I brought in all these bigger objects, which everybody can just imagine and say, oh yeah, that those objects are created by whatever these guys think from this whole, right? And if they are unconscious, otherwise you'll have to believe that they probably are conscious as well, right? Or
That's
if they're
right.
unconscious, and then the whole of that has to be unconscious as well. There is a clear contradiction right there. So I don't think that follows. Neither one with the unconscious things that the whole has to be, or the maker or the cause of that effect has to be unconscious. Neither it follows from the seeing the conscious
Yes.
being as the cause being conscious. I don't think it follows either ways.
No. You're stuck now. You're actually stuck.
what?
You thought you were smart.
How can I be stuck when you don't even let me talk?
No, I am letting you talk, but I'm not letting
No,
you.
you're not. You're not letting me talk.
No, and you're getting agitated because I caught the contradiction.
Of course I'm getting agitated. You don't let me talk.
No, you're getting agitated because I caught you in a contradiction. You said that it is not conscious and you cannot justify it. Now you're stuck because you also agreed with the principle of proportionate causation. So you have to do the explanation, and the onus of proof is on you. Now speak.
Okay, like a broken record. Look, you have to start with the claim that the first cause is timeless, right? You agree with this, right? You agree it's timeless. Okay, so if it's timeless, then firstly, this question of before the universe, it doesn't make sense, right? Like it doesn't exist before the universe, not temporally before. It causally precedes it.
Right.
Okay, do you agree with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's timeless, then this concept of potentiality, it doesn't make sense because there's only two options. If there's a timeless creator, there's only two options. One is it never creates, and the other is it's always created. Okay, and since the universe exists, then it has always created. The first cause has always been creating. So it's always been actual, so it's not potential.
Do you want me to pause it here? Madin, you said something, or?
No, I agree. I agree with him. This brings into the idea, brings the idea if something is timeless, there's not going to be a break in its sequence eventually in one particular point of time, because it's going to lead to contradictions. So it must have always been there doing it, right? So this concept of potential versus non-potential falls out the part. I think he's right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, firstly, have you given your answer to what I asked?
Wait, what's your question? You're asking me to justify that it's not a potential, right?
No.
What's your question?
Okay, you said I don't let you talk, and that's why you're agitated. So I want you to first get it out of your system before I respond.
Okay, it's out.
Okay. I asked you clearly that you are in a contradiction, and I laid out the contradiction to you in a painfully slow way. And don't make me do it again. And instead of answering...
No, you should do it again, because I don't think you actually want...
I don't know. I couldn't spot the contradiction. Maybe I just missed something. I don't see there is a contradiction. All right. Anybody?
Get out the contradiction.
Okay, so I'll tell you what the contradiction is. You categorically said that the necessary being is not conscious.
Mm-hmm.
You categorically said that we have consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm listening.
No, you need to answer the question.
Yeah. So,
okay, yes.
Yeah. You categorically said you accept the principle of proportionate causation.
Yes.
Okay. You also categorically said that the necessary being is the cause behind us.
Yes.
Therefore, following these premises, the conclusion is clear that that necessary being has consciousness.
All right. I don't know what kind of a more response this is, but I just don't follow it. What is it, Madin? Explain it to the uninitiated.
I don't think they've registered the fact that he doesn't think. So no, I don't get it either. I don't really get it. I don't think they fully understand what Hamza's saying. Hamza's not saying. There's a key element that Hamza's emphasized that they're ignoring or downplaying, which is that he doesn't think.
Madin,
yeah,
sorry for interjecting, but do you think that when he says that the principle of proportionate causality, he agrees with it? Do you think that is what the contradiction is? And maybe he should say that he does not agree with it?
He has a different understanding of it.
I think so. I guess
thinking,
you can maybe point that out, right? That this is because I think Sabur is thinking that the principle of proportionate causality means that if a cause must have what the effect has.
Yeah.
So, and if this
I
is what he
think that's the
understands, then he's saying
problem.
this
I
is what
think
the
that's where
contradiction
the
is.
problem
Possibly.
lies.
I think Hamza does not understand it that way. And I
Yeah.
think Hamza
I
might,
think
I think he will explain it in a minute or two.
yeah, I think Subur is thinking, and maybe I would say Subur is incorrect in saying that. Is that the principle? Maybe I'll
No,
become
that's
the
what I'm
ignorant one
trying to
here.
check. Maybe that is the case. Is it the
Yeah.
principle of proportionate causality? Because when I searched it out, it says
No, I think the
the
principle of
cause.
proportionate causality, the cause has to be greater than the sum of the parts or parts, something like that,
Okay,
right?
okay. And what does that mean?
I think I'm not, I think Subur's understanding that the principle of proportional causation is either the cause has the potential or contains the property that it produces, right? And he wants to and he thinks if Hamza accepts that, then he's accepting either it has the property or it has the potential, right? The contradiction is that Hamza wants to say that there is no potential, then therefore it should be maybe it has the
Yes.
property. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
so. I think this is
yeah.
what he might be sort of
So I
alluding to.
just brought the
Yeah.
definition.
But
Let's
but can
share
I
the
just highlight?
definition.
Yeah, can I just highlight though? Hamza did stress he doesn't. So clearly, when he says he accepts the principle, I heard what he said before. He says he understands what philosophers mean by the principle of proportionality. He doesn't
Mm.
necessarily
But
accept it,
he
right?
no he.
I
But
think it's
right now Sabur actually asked him clearly, "Do you agree with that principle?" And he said yes.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
he did,
think
but I'm not sure they have the same understanding when they come to the agreement to it.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess and that seems to be the issue then.
I think this is then in
I
that
guess
case
so.
I think Hamza is wrong.
Virtually, I guess so. Yeah. So this is what it means.
I think
Mhm.
this is why Hamza is wrong in this case, right? The principle of proportionate causality is a philosophical concept prominent in the Thomistic thought, stating that a cause must possess the perfection it produces in an effect, either formally, directly, eminently in a higher degree, or virtually possessing the lower the power to produce it. It
Mhm.
suggests causes aren't any. Okay, I
So I
think
think the
this
virtual
law
part
is
might. So the virtual
in
part
my
might
opinion
allow it.
this law is flawed. In my
Exactly. And I
opinion,
think if you click to show more, I think it will show you that the
Mhm.
critique on this is that I think it goes against the other view, which is that there are things which are emergent,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the
critics point
emergent
to cases
properties
like
are
bad
something which are
nature.
not there in the cause. Rather,
Mhm.
they arise later, right? I mean,
But
in effect.
you can still define it as the potential. You can still define that water molecules have the potential to create wetness, but they
Right.
don't possess the quality.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has the potential in the sense that there's something in a water
Mm,
molecule combined by another water molecule
mm,
that eventually emerges the property of wetness, even though
mm,
individually it doesn't. Yeah, so you can still define it like that. But the Hamza is saying that there is no. Hamza probably is therefore if he says he accepts the principle of proportionality, contradicting
mm.
himself, unless he has got a different understanding of the principle of causality. But principle of proportionate
Proportionate
causality.
causality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I guess he should clarify that. Yeah.
yeah. However, Subur did try and explicate what that was, and did Hamza
Mm.
agree to it? Because if Hamza did agree to it, then he is bound
Yes.
by those two options: it's either potential or it actually has it. So
It
it's
has
kind
Yes.
of
this.
Subur's kind of right. Subur's kind of right
He's right.
there. Yeah, but
So
then Hamza simply just has to clarify that he either
Hamza,
doesn't agree with it. He doesn't agree with it, or he just. But I don't think it's necessary for him to do that. He can just accept
I,
all of this, and still he doesn't have to talk about it was always there, right? In the sense that it was because it's timeless, therefore it was always actual, right?
mhm.
Right? It was always
Okay.
actualized. Yeah, I don't think that does anything for him.
I
He doesn't
think there
need to.
is
He can. Hmm.
one word in the like, if you go to the definition, I think if you instead of potentiality, if you use the word power, do you think it will be a bit safer? I mean, because potentiality requires actualization, but power, I don't know, power is just the uh, having that
ability.
again. And I think he will use the word ability later on, but I think
Mhm.
ability, I guess, yeah, maybe power is a better word because power doesn't mean that you need to actualize something. It just means that you have that power. So you can something, the cause has the power to give this attribute to whatever is emanating from it timelessly.
Yeah.
Or you could maybe clarify that this actualization is a timeless actualization, and this potential is also from a timeless point of view, this potential is already actualized, so it is timelessly actualized. Maybe it should be maybe a bit more clarity on this particular principle. I think would be better for Hamza and Sabur both for this.
No, I think by the stricter definition, I think Hamza got in a tangle basically.
Yeah,
right?
I think
Because he agreed
should
to
have
that
clarified.
definition.
Exactly.
Yeah, he agreed to that.
He should have said that
by virtue
and I think
of just the definition. Yeah, he just got in a tangle. So
yeah, let me just tackle this comment here by Vlogs Dharma. Right.
No, I think he means in good faith, I guess. I think I remember seeing him, and he just probably is bemused that since past 1 year we haven't grown on this channel, and for him it's just a message to him that we didn't do any
post anything on
streaming on this channel for past 1 year as well, right? Pretty much. Right? Maybe the last time you saw was the last time we streamed on this channel as well, and that's why. So. But yeah, I mean, that's the short answer to you. All right, let's move on.
Philo, we can't hear anything. What's going on? Are you watching that video?
Yeah. I need to remove this and then add that.
Okay.
The conclusion is clear that that necessary being has consciousness.
This does not follow at all. What is this? What kind of logic is this?
It's deductive logic. That's the type of logic it is.
How do you deduce from these premises?
I'll tell you what you're doing. You're
not going to explain now, are you?
Sorry?
You're not going to explain how it's deduced, right?
Yeah, I just did twice.
No, you just mentioned the premises and then you just said this is the conclusion. You didn't explain how it follows.
Okay, let me explain it to you.
All of these premises can be true and you can follow that it's not conscious. So I don't know what you're talking about.
How?
Because of the timelessness aspect and it always being actual.
Okay, wait a second.
That's a non sequitur.
Wait, one second. You said
non sequitur.
One second. Let's get to an even more microscopic perspective.
Yes.
Didn't you say that even though this is in a timeless domain, right? This is happening, as in time doesn't apply to that necessary being. You said it is causally prior, as in we are the effect of that cause.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Therefore, that cause has consciousness because we have consciousness.
What?
What you're basically doing is you're trying to say the cause and the effect exist at the same time, aren't you?
At the same time? What? Sorry, can I repeat that?
You're saying the cause and the effect are both actualized.
How can the cause be? No. At the same time, simultaneously. Yeah. Simultaneously.
There we go.
Okay.
Do you not see the contradiction? There's a second contradiction.
No, there's no contradiction.
I think this is a trickery. I think word trickery. And why? The effect is not a direct effect of conscious beings of this whatever cause you are saying, right? In Subur's mind, that cause is God, of course, right? But the effect is not a direct effect, right? The effect is preceded in time much later than other effects, basically, right? So initial effects were still non-conscious effects, right? The point that we raised earlier. So I'm not quite sure when he's saying they are produced simultaneously, cause and effect are produced simultaneously. At least in this case, if you're saying, then you have to be really clear that the cause, even if from Subur's point of view, the effect is not a conscious effect. Effect is still a universe. And now from a atemporal realm of causality, a cause and effect, the effect that he's talking about of conscious effect is being produced much, much later in time, temporally. So I'm not quite sure, even with this, given this principle of proportionate causality, even if we granted him that, I still don't think that that logic or that, the premises give him what he wants, basically. Subur, I'm saying, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? At least this is my thought.
I think Sabur is now, and because I've listened to this conversation already. So now basically when we asked him that, okay, the cause and effect have both actualized. And he is now again, basically he's pointing out another, and that's why he said, now this is another contradiction. And he's going to ask another question about this. So I think now he's trying to point out another contradiction, which according to him is a contradiction, that the effect has also been actualized. So I think he's going to point out the problem, which according to him is a problem. I think let's listen to this and let's see what he says and how he proves this point.
Look, explain the P. So a contradiction is P and not P. Explain the P and explain the not P.
Okay, fine. Fine. Effect comes after cause.
Temporally?
We're not talking about time.
You literally use the word after. After means it's temporal. It's temporally related.
I don't mean it in the physical time from the physical time perspective.
Okay, then how do you mean it?
I mean it timelessly.
Okay, if it's timeless, you can't say it's effect. Like what does after mean? Timeless is simultaneous.
Okay.
I think Hamza should have said.
But Hamza is right. Timeless.
No, he's right.
Simultaneous.
Because he also, I think even in this later on, he will use the word after the creation of the universe and all of these words. I think, and even the using the word atemporally prior. Now, prior itself, if you look at the word alone, prior, some could say, well, how can it be prior? But if you use the word atemporally along this or timelessly prior, then you could say
logically
that yes,
prior.
Or logically prior, then you should agree with it. So if Sabur is saying that it is timelessly after the cause, then yeah, he should agree with it. I think so.
Okay,
because Sabur actually said it. He said timelessly, the effect is timelessly after the cause. And I think this he should agree with. Because it is just like
a
saying,
ball. It's like a ball having an eternal effect on the cushion. It's like a ball. Imagine a possible world. Imagine a possible world where there's a ball resting upon a cushion, but the ball never in any particular time caused an indentation on the cushion. Right? It wasn't like the ball was off the cushion and one day on July 25th or 2023 or something fell on the cushion and caused the indentation. It has been timelessly and eternally, forever on the cushion, causing that depression on the cushion and that indentation on the cushion. And so here we have a cause, which is the ball, and the effect, which is the depression and indentation on the cushion, timelessly happening, right? And there was no point in which it didn't happen, and there's no point where it did happen. It was always there, right?
I think this example, this is an example from William Lane Craig. And
it's from Kant, Immanuel Kant as well. No, William Lane Craig took it from Immanuel Kant for atemporal causation.
And then I'll point out the problem with this example, and I think I've criticized it some time back as well.
In real terms, there's a physical effect.
This may be philosophically it sounds decent enough.
Yeah, but no, remember, it's a possible world. I know it doesn't operate in terms of physics, but it doesn't operate in terms of physics. That's not really what's happening. It's a made up world. We're trying to imagine a conceivable world where the physics don't operate in the way it does here. We're just imagining a simple ball causing an effect on the cushion, and the physics of this world.
You're just defining the simultaneous causation as some. It's a tautology in that sense, I think.
No, it's a logical possibility. Remember,
logically, it's a by definition, it's simultaneous. That's about it, right? I mean, it's not a real world example. It's just a thought experiment, right?
Yeah, clearly, of course, because we're trying to think of a situation where, remember, we're doing philosophy,
but
in philosophy,
it's impossible physically, right? For that work, your gravity has to be infinite, right?
For example, like Kylie believes. For example, Kylie said he believes in a necessary being, right? If he believes in a necessary being, he's also imagining something like this that I'm talking about. Now, is this in a real world possible? He's not saying it in terms of physics is possible.
But,
that's
but
what.
then
But it's metaphysically possible. It's logically possible.
This example is not metaphysical, right? Or is it a metaphysical example?
Yeah, it's logically possible.
What Kylie is imagining is in a metaphysical world, right? Not in real world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The real world is metaphysical world, probably includes metaphysical world as well, right?
I don't know what you mean, because remember, I'm not sure what you mean by metaphysical world. What's a metaphysical world? I'm not sure what a metaphysical world.
But then there is this distinction, right? When we talk about this metaphysics, right? Oh, this is metaphysical world. The laws of the universe, the physical laws don't apply there. Even maybe laws of logic don't apply over there, or something like that, right? That's what we call metaphysical world, right?
So the way we think about it is, if there is a necessary being, you only deduce it through laws of logic. The laws of logic will never. So that's how you kind of understand that the laws of logic is something that is beyond physics, or something like that. Some people may argue it that way, right? The idea it is due to the laws of logic, right? Why we can conceive of worlds without these contradictions. So somebody would say the fact that they can picture this ball compressing upon the cushion, it's a logical possibility, and therefore there's no contradictions. Like a pink unicorn, right? Like a pink unicorn may not be physically possible, right? However, it's logically possible. Remember, that's what we're talking about. I'm not saying any of that is real.
I don't have. I don't have a problem with the simultaneous causation.
Yeah,
I agree with the simultaneous.
You have a problem with this analogy.
I have a problem with this example. That's the only
okay.
issue.
I mean, it's just, you could say it's just sort of
it's
just like, scientists use some sort of an analogy, and most of the time
yes,
an analogy
that's right.
Completely analogous,
in terms of
but it's just for better conception.
Let me just clarify. If Philo, somebody used this example to show that this is a real world example of atemporal causation, it's false.
I'll still have a problem with that. Physics enters my mind before that.
But if somebody argued, is it conceivable without the real world physics? Yeah, then maybe you could entertain it as a logical possibility.
I'll start entertaining it, right?
It's like imagining Kylie and me floating out of our chairs. It's not physically possible because of gravity, right? But it's logically possible, right? It's logically possible. Remember, conceptually possible. Yeah.
I'll conceptually start imagining it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
What you're basically saying is, you're saying all cause and effects linked to the necessary being are constantly actualized.
All cause and effect? No, just the creation of the universe. Because creation of the universe means creation of time, so now time is passing.
Okay. When I say all, I'm referring to creation, so of course the universe.
Okay, sure.
Okay, that is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? Explain that to me. How does that make any sense?
Okay, sense you mean, so sense you mean logically or emotionally? Are you saying it's a contradiction?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, I was in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Today, I'm in London right now. Is me being in Sierra Leone and me being in London both actualized?
No, you mean together, simultaneously?
Yeah.
No, of course not. You're inside time.
Okay. So clearly, there is a chronological order.
After the creation of time, yeah.
So your point of saying consciousness cannot go back to the necessary being because consciousness...
I think Hamza should have been very precise, because he objected on Sabur using the word after, and he right now use the word after the creation of time. He should not have used it, I think, if he was objecting to Sabur earlier on. So I think he should have kept on using the term that, okay, whatever is within time would experience these events temporally in a sequential order. He should have used that, I guess.
Right.
Is already actualized.
Wait, hold on. Just to be clear, you're saying it cannot. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying I don't believe it. Okay, we need to be clear here. I'm not saying it's like logically contradictory or something.
I just want to pause it, because I think
making any sense to me at all.
I think they might go on a different tangent, so I think maybe they might come back to this. So I just want to discuss this point that Sabur is trying to raise, and I think it's a fair enough point, but I think it can be easily refuted. So what he's trying to say is that, and what Sabur is trying to argue for or against is that because he asked Hamza that the cause and effect are both actualized simultaneously, and the universe is the effect of this eternal cause. So therefore, the universe should also have been actualized. So therefore, and what he's trying to now demonstrate is that if everything has been actualized, then I was in this place A 2 days ago, and I'm in this place 2 days after. So did this all happen simultaneously? Because everything has already been actualized. So I think to that I would respond is, we as temporal beings experience these events in a sequential order. We being inside this temporal universe within time, existing within time. However, and again, I think I have given this example or this explain analogy, or I think I would say a thought experiment earlier in some earlier stream as well. From Sabu's perspective, just think it like this: God, according to you, is a timeless entity, and for him, present, past, and future does not exist. So Sabur being in place A and place B, from God's perspective, this is not a sequential order. For him, everything has already happened. In fact, Sabur is already technically everything that Sabur is ever going to do, from his perspective, from God's perspective, he can look at all of that simultaneously. From God's perspective, from that timeless entity's perspective, nothing is happening in a sequential order. So
It's all
yes,
instantaneous.
exactly, it's all instantaneous. So yes, everything has been actualized, but from us, from our perspective, being inside this temporal universe, we experience this temporally. Now, this is the exact same scenario which would apply even in the case of a mechanistic or a non-divine or a
Yeah,
non-conscious
exactly.
timeless
Yeah.
creator, because it's just that it would have not have it would have no way to be aware of this fact, but from its perspective, everything has been actualized. Yes, even the universe and whatever is happening, everything has
So
been
this is
actualized.
So this is another way of thinking about the four-dimensional universe, or just the space block, time block, right? Or
space-time fabric, right?
Yeah. Or the conclusion of relativity, which is that time is subjective, right? We experience the notion of time, but we are all just we are all this extended. Our identity is not this sequentially broken up thing that we subjectively experience. Is that everything has just happened in one. There is no time. There's no past, future, or present. These are just locations on the space-time that we kind of interpret that way and label, and it's useful to talk about it.
We're in a four-dimensional space.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and we're like these massive what is it called? Like big strings of worms or something. Big train or something. Like each day of our event, or each temporal sequence that we experience is just laid out almost like a comic book, right? Do you know how like in a comic book you see the first page, you see the second page, and you've got blocks, right? And a comic book, from one block to another block, right? You see a sequence, right? In the first block of the comic book, you see a character doing something, and the second block is doing something else, and the third block he's gone to his like grandma's house or something, right? But but if you want to think about the four-dimensional sort of universe, the space block, it's all just there like a comic book. Our lives are just there in these kind of windows. It's all there in one go, right? And we're just experiencing it because from this there are some philosophical issues of identity, because we're not necessarily the same person from moment to moment. These are all actualized, right? And me at age 80 and me at age 5 were actually different people, right? It's just in other words, we're not existing we're not existing in this kind of qualitatively temporal sense where we grow to become the 80-year-old. It's that me being conscious at 1 second, and time becomes very difficult to talk about. This is why I'm finding it difficult to talk about this. But imagine if each interval of time, whatever that unit of time is conscious all at the same time, right? All at one go, instantaneously, and thereby me at 80, what I hypothetically think of myself at 80 and me at 5 years old, all exist at the same time. Therefore, that 5-year-old me and the 80-year-old me are not the same people. That's kind of the philosophical conclusion of that, which creates a real big problem. Yeah? Yeah? Now, I don't know if that's comprehensible. It's very difficult to talk about. Whenever you talk about time, it's very difficult, unless you're a philosopher of time thinking about it for a very long time. And it's hard to talk about without even mentioning time. But that is kind of what we're trying to visualize. And a lot of scientists think of this. There's like the B theory of time. It's that time is an illusion, right?
No,
and this completely, it's completely consistent with physicalism.
As Khali said, Madin, these guys already believe in B theory of time.
Yeah,
of course. From God's perspective, it's all B theory of time.
Yeah,
because it's just laid out in a single 4-dimensional block. Everything is there in that box of 4 dimensions, right? And you just can't get out of that 4 dimensions. You just see the slices of it in the time direction, basically, right? So everything is laid out, right? And they believe it because God can see all those slices pretty much, right? Or that 4-dimensional box. So yeah, I think I agree with you on that.
I think if people want to sort of visualize it, they can look at the Interstellar movie and how when I think Matthew McConaughey enters into the black hole, he's able to see all these different windows of time, like, the same thing happen, or, all these different times. He's able to see them in a light of this window. And I think almost like how Mahadan described it in the comics, how all of these windows are right there in front of you at the same time. This is how he was able to perceive it. So I think they can probably visualize it using that. So I think Sabur, what he's trying to argue, I think his argument was fair enough, but I think it can be easily refuted, and this is how he refuted.
Yeah.
What? Okay, look, you tried to
just 1 second. The way you're reacting. I mean, may I ask you, are you a professor of some kind?
Now our favorite Dawah. Before we do that, shall we open the stream for guests? And
yeah, we can. I think it's
it's almost done, right? The main part.
I think we can. Yeah, I think we can do it.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is, guys, I'm gonna open the stream for this for audience. If you want to join and have a cordial conversation, then please do join. I'll just make the link public. And then we'll play the stream as far as this conversation is going on. I think most of the meaty points are done. What I remember, and since I listened to this conversation, I remember the last part. Mansoor tries to inject ontological argument in contingency argument. Did you notice that, Khali?
I'm not sure. I might have missed that part because I think I might not have listened to the whole conversation.
Yeah,
because it was getting a bit repetitive.
Let me play that. But what I'll do is I'll make the link.
Let's move this bit forward because he's going to preach, Hamza, that you're being a bit dramatic and over smart. So just move forward.
Okay,
so the link is public. Let's listen to it.
As if like you're speaking to a student. Take people as your equal, right? You're reacting as if what this in no way. This is in no way demonstrates.
He is also acting like this. Okay, don't show these double standards.
Why are you shouting over me? I just made a point.
Sorry.
You don't need to react in this way. If you don't understand, things will be explained to you. Just say I don't understand. I don't get it. Just say it doesn't follow. But you're like, what is that? This is very childish. So that's why
Sabur is also being childish.
One second. So you have a cause of this universe which is not conscious. So it is not self-aware. Does it know that you and I am talking right now? It doesn't, right?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So the knowledge that you and I have, the information rearrangement, it happened because of some inherent laws that is already within it, right?
Yes.
So it has everything that you need inherent within it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't know that it has all of that.
Wait, just to be clear, you're saying inherent within it. Are you saying it has these as properties or something else?
The rearrangement of things, like to make into laws and principles, physical constants, like we have natural laws operating in this universe. Our universe, by the way, I'm not finished. Our universe is maintained by natural laws.
Yeah.
These laws are very precise, and it's keeping this consistency to make our universe as it is now. Otherwise, it will collapse and it will disappear, disintegrate, melt away, whatever you want to call it. But it is made to sustain in this way. The sustaining is happening because of a law that is operational. That law is already inherent in a non-conscious entity like this first cause, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it
not
has
as a property.
Sorry?
Not as a property.
As a what?
Yeah, so it would be inherent imminently.
No, what does it mean?
It has the ability. Yeah, so for example, because I used the example of consciousness, right? So you're saying does the first cause have inherent consciousness? No, it doesn't have it as a property.
I'm not talking about
it has it as an ability.
Yeah. I'm simply asking that the first cause, hear me out and then explain. The first cause made our universe operational in this way. It sustains it due to some operational laws in operation. These laws, it came from it, meaning it has those laws in a built-in system.
Yeah.
That system is built in. It didn't build it, right?
Yeah, it's inherent. It's necessary. It's a necessary part of its nature, yeah.
Yeah. So everything that is going to happen in this world, you and I talking, it's already built in the system.
No.
Okay, tell me how.
So just
because, because it would be.
But so Hamza,
sorry, what?
Before this, you said the necessary being
Can you pause
is not conscious,
just for a second?
but it has the.
I think, I don't know when Hamza said no at the end, I'm not sure if that was correct. Because again, it's a bit difficult to discuss this because, and I think Hamza was right in sort of clarifying it, that it does not exist in that entity as an actual property or attribute of that entity, rather just a power, or power to
inherent essence,
yeah.
maybe essence, you can say.
Yeah, within it, yeah, whatever it's within it to have let me be more precise. It has within it the inherent nature to atemporally cause such an effect with these things or with these events.
No, I'll pose it a little bit more clearly. Maybe I'll try to. Innate predisposition. Would you call it that way? Maybe would that be a
predisposition? Is a bit more
or innate disposition, not predisposition.
Nature. I think it's a bit more. I would say less human word, I guess, because predisposition is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, predisposition could be of something, right? Even nature could have predisposition of maybe.
I'm not sure if I might be wrong.
A plant has a predisposition to produce fruits, maybe, let's say, right?
Yeah. Not sure if we use this word for unconscious things or not. I'm not sure. Maybe
maybe that's something not very commonly used, but yeah, predisposition may be a loaded word. Maybe.
But the inherent nature, I guess that's fine. I mean, the inherent nature to cause such things.
Yeah, but any word you use, inherent nature and all these are going to have like more conscious connotations, right?
Yeah, but you know why I'm telling this? Because now Sabur is going to pick the word, that ability, and again, it won't be very unfair for him to pick that word, but I think if he just look at what Hamza is trying to convey as a concept, I think it should be clear. But since he used the word ability, he might again point out that ability is just like potentiality. He's going to equate that this necessary being has the ability to cause such things into existence. But now, and Sabur is going to equate this word ability with potentiality, and then potentiality requires to be actualized and all of that. So I think this is something that he's going to pick on, and maybe.
But even if he did, it adds nothing to anything.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, the main argument stands. There's the main argument.
Yeah, even if it did, like, he really wants to say that there's a potential. Just wants to get him to admit on a potential. Who cares? So I mean, I just don't see the point where what is he trying to say? If it has a potential, then it therefore isn't actualized, and then it needs to be actualized. Therefore, it needs consciousness. That's just a non sequitur.
Yeah.
That's a non sequitur.
Then he will say that in order for it to actualize at some point, this is what this argument will be, that in order for that entity to actualize that potential at some point, there should be a will which should be required, because it is doing it at some point. So this is what he's going to say.
Yeah, and that's complete. We've debunked this multiple times. There's absolutely that's literally asserted into existence. It has no further principles to explain why that should be the case. Why is it? Why is it the case? Is it like a necessary truth that in order for anything to go from one point to another point, transform, whatever you want to call it, rearrange or actualize, whatever you want to call it, or to become, it needs a will. Is that some sort of a priori principle? And how do you justify it? If you just say that it just is, then it's a necessary truth. And how, like certain things you can make an argument is a necessary truth. For example, if a triangle exists, it must have three sides just by the virtue of the fact that we define a triangle to be like that. If you just define it, because you start off with the concept of a triangle, and then all the other attributes come with it. It has to come together, right? It's not like that, is it? By simply saying that, by something changing, you're smuggling into something changing, it requires willpower. You've simply just asserted it into there, right? You've got no further justification why. Is it a empirical truth? Well, empirically, that's not the case. The multitude of everything that changes in the universe doesn't require willpower. For example, electricity doesn't require willpower, right? Water molecules going from condensation to evaporation to vapor back to condensation, the water cycle doesn't require willpower. We've got potassium, when it reacts with oxygen, doesn't require willpower, right? What are you talking about? So empirically, that's not the case, unless you beg the question by thinking that these things are happening by willpower, which is not observably obvious, right? So where are we getting this idea from? That change requires
in that case, he'll have to agree to that fact that everything, any change that happens, has to be via willpower or consciousness.
And it's just asserting it. That's simply like it's a principle without foundation or evidence, or it just asserts it as a circular sort of thing that change requires willpower. Willpower causes change, right? Or like it doesn't stand on anything. It's like me saying change requires. I could put anything in there. Anything. I could put any sort of verb or adjective to describe in there. Change requires teapots, right? Change requires fairies. Why? Like, come on, tell me why. He needs to explain it, right? He might say he has to explain why for anything to change requires willpower. Is he trying to say for a material thing will never change without willpower? But why?
Right.
Why is that the case? I'm philosophically confused here. Right? Why would that be? Why would that be the case? Why would something material, in a point of time, for it to change or cause something, require a will to do it? Right? Because in the world, yes, certain things require will. For example, if I need to go and get a cup of coffee, I need to go get think about. I need to feel thirsty or dehydrated or have a desire to go and have the cup of coffee. In some sense, you can say there's a will involved in this causation, right? But for plenty of other things, there isn't any will. Right. So where are we getting this from?
Yeah, I think not even plenty. I mean, I think there is disproportionately more things that don't have any, will required. There's just like very tiny fraction of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the empirical evidence is against them. The empirical weight of evidence is against the idea of change requires will.
Yeah.
Ability or the potentiality to make things conscious. That's what you said.
Firstly, ability and potentiality, are you using them synonymously? Because I'm not.
Okay, what did you say exactly? Because you're not.
It has the ability. Yeah.
Are you ability is not conscious?
Sorry, what?
Before this, you said the necessary being is not conscious, but it has the ability or the potentiality to make things conscious. That's what you said.
Firstly, ability and potentiality, are you using them synonymously? Because I'm not.
Okay, what did you say exactly? Because you're not.
It has the ability. Yeah.
You said what?
It has the ability, right?
No. You said it's not conscious, but it has the ability to make consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So
does it know it has the ability?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, continue.
Okay. How does that make any sense? Can you just justify that point? And I'm not going to interrupt you because this is.
What was the point of Mansoor interjecting there? His question was, does it know? I don't know. I couldn't understand. Was it really a valid question or not? I mean, then if isn't that the whole talking point, right? The consciousness. Maybe I misunderstood, right? I don't know. I found that funny. That question didn't seem right apt out at that point, at least.
Really
Yeah, I
interesting.
don't know. I have no
Tell
idea
us
why
exactly
Mansoor is
how
pushing for that point.
Yeah, totally.
that is true, what you just said.
Yeah, so I'm using the same logic that, the first debate that we were discussing, and Mufti Shamail was using. You're using the effects, you're looking at the effects and you're asking yourself, how can they come into existence, right? So that's what you're looking at. So all we're doing is we're saying, okay, this thing is an effect, all it needs is a cause, and the cause itself cannot have a cause because it needs to terminate somewhere, right? So if it terminates somewhere, then it has to be in a necessary being, and then it just logically follows that it's necessary, immanent inside the being. That's it.
What do you mean inside?
It's like asking, for example, you're a theist, right? So your God has will. And it's like asking, okay, how does God have will? Like, where did it come from? Why does it have it? You'll just say it's necessary. So it's the same thing.
So are you saying that the necessary being having the capacity for consciousness is a necessary attribute of that being?
Yeah, it just follows from that. That's what I'm saying. Using the same logic that the theist is using.
In that case, what you're doing is you are simply trying to play around with terms. You can't say that and say the same.
That's what you're doing.
You can't say that and say the same thing you said about 20 minutes ago, is that it doesn't have consciousness. It clearly has consciousness, at least as an attribute.
No.
Yes, it does, even as an attribute.
No. If something is, first you need to ask yourself what you need consciousness for.
You're getting agitated because there is a clear contradiction which everyone can see.
Yeah, you're the one who keeps interrupting me, yet I'm the one being agitated. Come on, Sabur.
Yeah, you just admitted you were agitated. I'm not agitated, I'm chilling. And the reason I'm chilling is I haven't made a contradiction.
Yeah, sure you are.
You categorically said.
I think just to stop or maybe stop Sabur in his tracks right now, at this point, Hamza should probably just say, okay, would you say the same exact, use the same exact logic for emotions? Would you use that or not? So I think, to...
No,
I think or just God existing with lots of matter inside of him.
Yeah, lots of matter. Everything, yeah.
Yeah,
all of these
lots
things,
of physics.
Yeah, there's so many chains which would lead, Subur's argument null and void, or pretty much seem absurd, at least.
Just replace the word consciousness with any other attribute that we humans have.
Attribute, and then
even our ability to lie, right? To do bad things, to do evil things. I guess would you even put that?
Or to die?
Why is Subur only focusing on just one? Just one.
God must have the ability to die.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Why is Subur just so hellbent on just one specific property, or if you want to call it property of humans, right? Consciousness. There's so many different properties that you could pick,
Defecate,
walk, maybe talk, or whatever you have, right?
Yeah, because I could do an imitation of him. Look, I could do an imitation of it. Would you say, for example, that this universe contains people who die and defecate? Okay, so based on the principle of proportional causation, right? Either the agent that the thing that created these things, which are people who defecate and die, has the potential or contains that attribute qualitatively present in it, right? Which one is it? And now, if you so therefore, it must have. Yeah, First of all, I don't know how Subul went from there to therefore it must be there present exactly with it. But he just skipped a step, right? The potential doesn't necessarily mean.
He did not skip that step.
What did he say?
He said which is more likely, which is the more probable, basically,
yeah.
right?
No, not only that. He's not even now. He's not speaking probabilistically anymore. And I wanted to point that out.
That was that point.
Initially, he was being a bit sneaky, but if you have noticed that from then onwards, he has been very adamant that this is the only way. This is the only possible explanation.
Totally.
It's not the best explanation. He is now pushing for the only explanation.
Totally.
He's saying this is the only explanation.
Agreed.
I think he's pushing it as the only explanation due to the deductive logic that he seems to have thinks is developed.
Exactly.
Yeah, under that network of thinking, right? But under that network of thinking, it creates complete nutcase of stupidity to the point where you would reject the principle in the first place, thinking it's wrong as a reducto. So we sometimes test principles to see what the logical implications are, if you do accept it, and if you do accept this one, it leads to thinking that God doesn't exist, because you end up thinking, or at least a material God exists, or a
it leads to a whole lot of
yeah,
absurdities. Yeah, pretty much.
absurdities. Yeah. If it leads to such absurdities, therefore we can safely think that there might be something wrong with the principle in the first place, right? So
Yeah.
I'm happy to think that it might have potential, but but then that by virtue of that, it must exclude a God, because I don't think God can even have the potential to die or
Yeah,
defecate,
totally.
or have all these other stuff, right? Therefore, although I'm happy to accept the potential thing, the potential route, rather than the inherent route where the quality is present in the agent that creates it, or the impersonal agent or personal agent who creates it. If you do go down the potential route, it excludes a omnipotent immaterial God, right? It can't be that.
Right.
That's another way of
You know how
going to it. Yeah.
you
Go
know how
on.
they'll respond to it, because I know what they'll respond to this. What they'll say is that, well, all of these things that you're just mentioning, actually these are this is basically, these are absences of perfection.
Right.
So the lack of things is not something that there needs to be in the creator. Now,
Right.
the problem with that is, okay, number one, then how do you know that consciousness is also not lack of something? Because now they might say, no, consciousness is something, and that's the very reason I focus on emotions. Because saying that emotion is lack of something is quite difficult. Because when you say pain is lack of something, can you truly say that? That when someone is, because if someone says that pain is lack of pleasure, I mean, then what you're saying is that a person who's being tortured is actually feeling just less pleasure.
Yeah. You can't
So it's
defend
kind of
that.
absurd, and that's why I
Yeah.
focus more on emotions, because then this game that they can play with, this is basically lack of perfection. All of these other things that you're talking about, these are lack of perfections or lack of things, which, for the creator or the initial cause does not need to have lack of things. It needs to have the things that should be there in the effect. And these things that you are pointing out, maybe all of these, death and all of these are lack of certain things. So that's why I think this is one way that they might come to this. But another way that you could respond to that is, okay, how do you know then what is lack of when something is lack of something, and when something is actually there? So
Yeah.
one could say that consciousness is actually a lack of something, because we need consciousness in order to experience time, let's say in sequentiality, whereas the initial cause doesn't. So how do you know, number one, what is perfection, what actually is perfect and what is not, and whether how do you show that consciousness is not a lack of perfection as well? So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're
Now
able to
I
play that
think.
game, then okay, then we can play that game as well.
Yeah, but I think this lack of perfection principle that might get arbitrarily deployed is also just injected in there out of nowhere. I'm not sure
Exactly.
what that really does. I mean, if you're starting off with the principle that
Mhm.
the effects, if they contain certain properties or qualities, must exist potentially or actually in the being that creates it, or the entity that creates it, the cause, right? Then arbitrarily just then going, actually, but if it but these are just the absences of these of a perfect thing, seems to be just arbitrarily thrown in there. No, then the perfect, call it the perfect principle now. Perfect principle now collides with the initial principle that you talked about, which is that it must contain or have the potential. Right? How do you reconcile the two? Right? There's a collision now. Right? You've arbitrarily just said, you've arbitrarily deployed two opposing sort of principles. One is saying that it must be there or potentially there, right? And then you're saying it's no longer, it's not there because it's perfect, right? But why should we think that the second thing that you said here about the perfect principle makes any why should we think that can be reconciled with the first principle, which is the principle of proportional causation? I think the principle of proportional causation will significantly conflict with the principle of perfection.
Can you, Philo, open or go to the same page where you had sort of looked for the definition or the explanation of principle of proportionate causation? Because when I looked for it, there was a reference to perfection as well for some reason, and it seemed like this concept has been sort of been drafted or been formulated by a theist, because the
Yeah.
perfection concept, I don't think any non-theist would use that word perfection. It's not a
Mm.
word that theists use. So if you go back to that definition, and that's when I searched it on Google, it sort of came up within the explanation of this principle of proportionate causality. So if you go to that same page and have a look at it, maybe Mahadan can comment on that if it's still there. Okay, now exactly. Now can you open this show more? Okay, so I think oh, you see, go up, go to the very first line, the highlighted one. No, up, even up. Even up, even up. Yeah, you see, a cause must possess the perfection it produces in an effect. You see? Now, this, it looks like this philosopher, whoever came up with this, I'm not sure who wrote this, but this must be a theist who's used this
No,
explanation.
is this part of this philosophy? Maybe it's a philosophy stack exchange.
Yeah.
Can you see it here?
Yeah, but I think by perfection it means something entirely different. I think it's just saying it must have the power, some sort of power. Basically, the ability.
Yeah, no. I think this is a muddled up definition. I guess
Yeah.
this is probably
No, it's because at this level of abstract
a reach.
language,
I mean,
yeah.
this
At this level of
definition reeks
abstract
of
language, yeah.
some different language that
Some
I'm not
theist.
quite sure.
It smells of a theist.
No, it's a Thomas because it's a Thomistic principle. It does emanate from
Exactly.
religious discourse,
Right.
right?
So yeah, I guess
Right, right.
someone religious has maybe formalized this principle, but or maybe defined it that way. Because as I said, I think, and you would agree with that, the word perfection is not used by non-theists.
I think there are quite a few issues with this principle itself, right? One thing, first thing first, I don't think I mean, I don't necessarily agree to.
Yeah, we
It.
don't have to,
Yeah,
and this
you
is what
don't
we have
have to
done, right?
agree to
Actually,
it.
we have
First thing
sort of
first.
pointed out that
Mm,
and using internal critique as well, right? That okay, if
right.
you believe that, then this is what it implies. This is
Yeah.
what follows logically from it. So, and
Yeah.
are you
It
ready to
leads to
accept
all
that?
sorts of absurdities, basically,
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
One thing, one, you know.
exactly.
And then the definition itself of perfection, what does it really mean by perfection here? At least I'm not too sure
I
about it.
think yeah. So I think it simply means that ability, the ability, it must have possessed some sort of power, ability, disposition, some sort of characteristic to bring it about,
No,
right?
no, no, no.
Yes. Yeah.
You read Mahadan, it doesn't say that. I don't think that's the meaning it has. A cause must possess the perfection it produces in an effect. So it's saying that the consciousness, let's take the example of consciousness, it's saying that the consciousness is a perfection, and that's in the cause as well. The effect is consciousness in humans, and then the cause, which is whatever the creator, should also have it because it's perfection.
Let me give you an
You see?
example of perfection.
Yeah.
Something that people that these theists again, I've given the example of emotion, and let's say one of the emotions is bravery, sacrifice. These are perfections, right? Does God have these perfections? Are these good things? Because generally, when they'll because again, this word perfection is something that will
Yeah,
give them the
I don't
nature or
even
must have
think
been. It's
I
not.
don't even
So we
yeah,
don't have to
not
agree with this principle. I'm just
yeah.
again doing it sort of an internal critique that this is what it would mean. And what I'm saying is that if you use this sort of definition of perfection, where the perfection has been made a part of this principle, and they can now play with it wherever it's convenient for them. Okay, this is not perfection, therefore it doesn't need to be there in the creator. This is perfection, and therefore it should be there. So first of all, as we have already pointed out, how do you know what is perfection and what is not? If you'll generally say that okay, these are the things that we value, then okay, consciousness is something that you value, but you also value emotions. And particularly, I'll give some examples of I've given examples of pleasure and all of these things. But Just certain things that we also value is bravery and sacrifice. So can
Yeah.
God have these sort of perfections? Because sacrifice and bravery, both of these cannot technically exist in God, and at least in their concept of God,
Yeah.
because both of these require some sort of lacking. Bravery
Yeah.
means that you should be standing up to something that you should potentially be afraid of, right? Which so I think these are the things that, I mean, this is just another way of
It's not just that,
sort
but
of
also inanimate
introducing.
objects and particles and matter, right?
Mhm.
So if we take it in the interpretation that you guys are taking at, that the cause must possess the perfection it produces in the effect. So
Mhm.
are we trying to assume that the cause has the perfection that in the effect, the version of it, so the effect of that perfect thing
Mhm. Might
is a
lack
deviation.
might lack
Yeah,
that perfection.
yeah.
So for
So it must.
example, I'll give you an example. This materiality issue, what they'll say is
Yeah,
that actually perfection is immateriality, and we lack immateriality.
yeah. So
It's
that's
kind of
just making
strange,
things up.
but this is
Yeah,
how
that's just.
exactly, this is what it
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
kind of like a privation theory. They will, it's up to them, whatever they want to, whatever view they want to have.
yeah,
They'll declare this has perfection and this has not. So it's up to them. There's
yeah.
no
So
point
these are just
saying
assertions, really, right?
it's
So
exactly.
yeah, these are just assertions, because you could say, yeah. So a cause must possess the perfection it produces in an effect. I mean, you can just reject that. Reject that. We don't think that's the case. So why should the cause have perfect? Yeah, perfection in in its attributes of the thing that it creates. I'm not sure that's correct anyway. But if an immaterial deity or an immaterial entity created a physical world, then we're trying to say um, that the immaterial entity contains the potential or those properties. Obviously, the immaterial reality doesn't contain matter, right? But to simply then swing that around and say, for example, the immaterial thing is a perfect representation of matter or something. Is perfect. At this point of abstraction, it just sounds absurd to me. Like you're just making things
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
right? You're just making things up.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. At this point of you're just making things up.
Yeah. I wanted to also mention something that Mansoor was trying to say, although I'm not sure if it's actually relevant to this discussion, but actually he was trying to prove a kind of God, and he came up with the question about, how is this universe being sustained? So again, I think how do you think that the necessary existence sustains itself according to you? So there is sustainability within it, right? So why can't the universe be sustained by it as well? So I'm not sure what the problem is. What's the problem there? But he tried to
Yeah, I
sort of
think
point out the problem.
for this we always have, all the things that you can assume for your favorite mm, god can be equally applied to uh, a universe, right? Or whatever that cosmos you want to call it, right?
Exactly. God is,
Eternality, it can be eternal. If you want,
yeah,
sustainability,
self-sustained.
you can, yes,
Yeah,
you can
because
talk about sustainability over there.
exactly, and
So
it should be noted that it's not like, and I think at least that should not be their view, that God is sort of actively sustaining himself, like he's sort of continuously holding himself so that he continues to exist, right? So because they believe that God is self-sustained in its by his inherent nature. So I think similarly a mechanistic cause should be there, and for that, for even God to do it, he doesn't need to sort of be consciously aware that, okay, I want to be consciously aware that I want to sustain myself. It's just that it's by its very nature it is sustained. So I think this is the very nature could exist in that mechanistic cause as well.
I think
Yeah,
their rules break when they talk about, I mean, not break. Their rules when they're talking about a god are different than when we are talking about a universe. All those attributes or the qualities or features or whatever you want to call essences that this universe might possess, so that it just simply imitates their god. sans consciousness, basically, right? And all the other maybe some of the other qualities as well, probably. But most importantly, the consciousness, right? That it does so with a particular will or a free will, right? All these qualities maybe, as this guy Hamza was talking about, could be just a mechanistic creator, and it could have like power, and all those things, right? It might not have, it won't have what do you call all mercifulness and all those human-like qualities, right? But then
So it could be like it could be like it could be like a quantum soup or space time, and in that sense,
wave function,
it has
or
the
whatever you may have.
potential. It has the potential because all you have is the laws of logic, and by virtue of that, right? For example, if there's a quantum soup of possibilities, then it'll realize all possible universes, and some of those universes will come into existence, right? And that's how it can operate, right? If you all you need is the laws of logic and some basic physical laws, and by definition you will arrive at like a multiverse, and then what some of those inhabitants of the multiverse will turn into our local universe, right? That's all you need. This perfection bullshit, I'm not sure, we just reject that outright. But even if you wanted to kind of play around with the word perfection, you could, just the way they can mess around with it at the level of abstraction, you can as well. For example, the space-time is the perfect potential, the perfect originator, because it realizes all these possibilities, right? For example, you can actually say consciousness is the absence of that perfection, because by consciousness you get suffering and horror. Look, that is how specious their arguments are. So I'm going to use specious arguments, right? With consciousness, you get suffering, you get terror, you get agony, as well as pleasure. But a perfect sort of quantum soup thing, it doesn't have any of that. So it's that potential.
It's a higher perfection, maybe.
Yeah, you can just play around with these sort of words.
I think these are vague terminologies that they. I mean, they think that it's good to bring them in, but they when they bring it in, or these kind of arguments in, they open a whole can of worms, basically, for themselves, pretty much, right? It's not good for their own arguments. Maybe for uninitiated, these arguments might sound good, but when pried open philosophically and with deeper thoughts, they appear to be what they are: absurd at best, right? So anyways, shall we move on? I think at some point, what's his name, Mansoor brings in some other arguments, and I thought he brings in a tinge of ontological argument to support this argument, right? A contingency argument, in terms of basically attributes, right? So shall we go through it, or maybe just terminate the stream for tonight and pick it up some other time?
It's up to you. I can do another 10 minutes if you want.
Kelly, any thoughts? I think Kelly has stepped out. Okay, let's run it for a little bit. Just 2-3 more minutes, 5 minutes maybe.
The necessary being doesn't have consciousness. That's what you said.
Okay, I mean, keep repeating.
And on the minimum right now, you conceded that the necessary being has the attribute of consciousness.
No.
What did you say then?
You need consciousness to go from one state to the other. Okay, if it's already in one state, then obviously it's not going to have consciousness. You don't need consciousness. It's like an extra attribute that you're just adding.
Okay. So
for example, if I want to go from standing to sitting, I need consciousness and free will.
Okay, a ball hanging from the ceiling.
Okay?
Yeah. A ball hanging from the ceiling. The ceiling is, if you like, the cause, and the ball is the effect.
The ball is the effect, sorry?
No, as in, the reason why the ball is held up in that position is because we have the cause, the ceiling, being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this example is similar to what your question example was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ball
Let
is
them,
hanging. So
let them
I don't
explain.
think I don't think this is a cause and effect, right?
Yeah, but let them explain let him explain what he's trying to explain.
You're basically saying the attribute of the effect is not found within the cause.
The attribute of the effect. Can you repeat that? Sorry, your example is weird. Sorry, can you repeat that?
I don't think this is going anywhere. So
Okay, so look,
just repeat it.
Only thing that can discuss here.
One second, Hamza. I'll put it to you this way. I've dealt with atheists all my life. Okay, you're a classic case of somebody that's trying to sound smart, and I caught you out in a clear contradiction. And the contradiction is this: you're
contradiction is P and not P.
Stop interrupting.
What is in the effect is not in the cause. And also earlier on, you tried to bring in some distinctions which were completely unnecessary just to sound smart. You said metaphysically necessary, and then how logically necessary is not linked to this, just to try and sound smart. And I've dealt with atheists all my life. I've seen it. Even Javed was doing this in the debate when he brought up Bertrand Russell's irrelevant point.
You're not even making an argument now. You're just ranting. What is this?
No, I'm giving you medicine and you're enjoying it. That's what's basically going on right now.
Why would I enjoy it? I genuinely want to know your arguments. I came here serious. I didn't come here to joke. You're the one ranting.
Read with the principle of proportionate causation. What is in the effect?
Point out the P and not P. Point out the two propositions that are opposites. You can't do that. You're just ranting.
You keep doing to every single time I make a logically coherent deductive argument is simply to make an assertion.
Point out the P and not P support.
I did.
Okay, I think
there's no point repeating it, but I have a few points to make, because he's trying to present himself like he's coherent. Let's actually understand that. So you believe in an entity. Do you know something called the brute fact fallacy?
Wait, brute facts fallacy?
Yeah.
What's the fallacy? I believe in brute facts.
Hang on. Is it brute fact that the necessary entity or the cause, primary cause, has already the set of laws that will be operational in the universe, right? It's just there.
Yeah. So this is why I had to bring up the categories of necessity, which you said that I'm trying to sound smart.
One second.
Relevant.
Wait. Do you just affirm the physical laws that's going to be in our universe? That program, it's actually a program because it's information. Information is some patterns in certain way arrangement that with a goal oriented. It has some kind of goals. So the universe sustains on some of those rules which operates within our universe. This is already a program within this thing called the first cause, your necessary being, right? That's brute fact. It's there. Yeah. Right. So everything that we see in
I think when Mansoor talks about it having a goal, I'm not quite sure. He's already assuming an agency, right? Pretty much. I mean, a goal is for certain things. Goal is a human terminology for humans to achieve something, what they will. And this is exactly what we are trying to establish. And him bringing that concept over here is basically, in a sense, trying to prove what we are, or trying to produce evidence for something that we are trying to prove. I don't think it's necessary, basically, right? Anyway, let's listen.
For you and I.
Kelly, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You stepped out for a bit, I think, right?
Yeah.
Speaking, what we have, what we can do, everything is already programmed within it.
No. No.
Okay, so what is not in there?
Because so it's necessary. The laws are necessary. But
no, what is not in there? Not what's in there. What is not in there?
What is not in there?
Yeah, you said no, right? When I asked you everything is there, wait, let's go slowly. When I asked you everything is in there, intrinsically, inherently, you said no. That means something.
No, everything. By everything, you mean everything you can conceive of, or everything that is part of the universe?
All information that can possibly
be part of the universe, right?
So this is so stupid.
This universe or that universe, or any information that is actually.
What do you mean?
Yes, this is so stupid. I mean, why does Mansoor think that all the information should be there in the first brute fact?
Something even I can't understand. Why does it have to be there? I think he's just injecting that omniscience thought into this brute fact. I mean, subconsciously or unconsciously, subconsciously, he's doing that, and he's not realizing that that's a problem, because the brute fact doesn't have to have those qualities or that information what do you call the entirety of information. Not necessary. I don't think so. It is necessary. On what basis he's saying it has to be there, right? Maybe it requires is the necessary information to have this universe. That's about it.
Yeah, it could be an emergent sequential thing where it gains different parameters as it expands, and just like anything else that we see in the universe, right? right? The laws of the laws of, if you want to call quote unquote the laws of evolution, are not there at a level of quantum physics.
Exactly,
right?
or at the initial conditions of the formation of the universe.
Yes. So if the way water molecules operate is not, in terms of well, water molecules is not the best example, but the way the science of soil, how soil absorbs water, isn't really present. The information required for that isn't present at the initial conditions of the universe, right? In some sense, there's something that's shared. Of course, there's the potential. The potential at the initial conditions were there, right? Like basic energy, right? But the way it forms and the way it operates at the level of on planet Earth is different, right? Than at the initial conditions. So I'm not sure what he means. So if that's the case, we're not saying that there's no. I think he's already conceded that there's some sort of, Hamza's conceded there's some sort of inherent sort of attributes, but the attributes are not the same. That's what he's trying to say, right? There's inherent attributes to do something, but he obviously believes in. He believes all of this is happening simultaneously, therefore it's already manifested, right? But if he didn't believe in that, if he believed in temporal causation, it would still be consistent. Like if he believed it happened in a temporal sequence, the initial thing will have inherent abilities to at least form the next stage. Then the next stage will have the abilities to form the next stage after that, right? And etc. The stage 88 doesn't necessarily have the same qualities as the first stage. Right, we see the same reality when it comes to stuff like emergent properties in water or emergent properties in chemistry, right? Potassium and oxygen, they don't have the same qualities when they react together. Oxygen doesn't have the same qualities, exact same qualities, identical qualities, as potassium oxide. Otherwise, oxygen will be the same as potassium oxide. But it has some sort of ability when combined with potassium, the oxygen, right, to form the reaction that happens, the volatile reaction that happens when potassium oxide forms, right? So are we saying potassium, the volatile experience, the volatile exponential reaction that occurs when potassium oxide forms is there at the level of potassium and oxygen separated and not formed together? No, it's not there. But does it have the ability to do it? Yes. And in the same sense, this brute fact may have the ability to create all these other things that happened, right? Either atemporally or temporal, doesn't matter, right? But it doesn't mean all the identical properties and information are just there present at the beginning. No.
Right, agreed. Yeah, I don't know what Sabur is just mistaken on these. But anyways, I think what we'll do is, Madin, I think let's close the stream, and Khali, we'll close the stream.
Yeah, I think let's do that.
Some parts are left, but they're minuscule.
Before you close, let me just give some vivid scientific sort of grounding to the to what Hamza is talking about. It could just be energy, necessary brute fact, energy, right? Energy and space-time energy, whatever, quantum field energy, right? And that gives rise to everything else. Simple as that. Does that mean I was there at the beginning? No. I was something that happened from that energy changing, reshaping, whatever, right? From that energy, but I wasn't there. My brain wasn't there. My personality wasn't there at the level of energy. It's the amalgamation of all of that to come to certain configurations, eventually forming nervous systems and brains, and then my characteristics and personalities, right? The fact that the effect, which is me being there with my personality and desires, does not mean it was there at the beginning at that level of energy. That's a completely consistent scientific picture. There's no contradictions or anything, unless you force the idea that can't happen, which is these guys are kind of trying to say almost, right? They're trying to say that if the effect has these qualities, it must exist at the beginning as well, at the cause, at the level of cause. That's not the case. No scientist believes that. It's just gobbledygook, right? We do have emergent properties that arise from simpler properties that don't have the same qualities that the emergent properties possess at the level of emergence. But at the level of its basic rudimentary form, it's not there. It simply isn't there. And if Hamza just simply believes that something necessarily existed, which is energy, space-time, then we have a picture here that we can visualize where space-time just existed, but none of those qualities existed, but for when it configured in particular ways. What's wrong with that picture? What's so difficult? Why do we need to talk about all this bullshit where Mansour is saying all that information must have been there? No. If by information he means the identical replica qualities were just there at the beginning. No, it wasn't, right? It had some sort of potential, clearly. Even scientists think that, right? If the initial condition of the universe right now is all there is, and that was just eternal, it had the potential to create us right now through several events. But we weren't there at that time, right? Earth wasn't there at the initial conditions, right? Simple.
Yeah, totally. And we'll close with this. Was there any information present for horse shite at that beginning? No. Okay, that closes it. We'll just close this. Yeah, Madan.
Yeah, this is what gives a bad name to philosophy. Right?
Yeah.
It has to marry science at some point and make sense of things. Right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think today's stream we did on this channel after a long time, but it wasn't too bad. I think we had a decent number. I had not expected those many numbers, but in any case, I think we enjoyed the stream because it was a good philosophical discussion. So for everybody, please subscribe to our English only channel. That this is the only channel that we're talking about. @Unveiling Faith, youtube.com @Unveiling Faith. And if you can, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Philo Sapience, or you can support us also on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Philo Sapience, or via super chats, super stickers, or whatever all super things are there in YouTube, and memberships, or whatever, however you can. And if you can't, financially, if you're unable to do so, then the best thing is to just spread our channel, and especially this one, because this one is kind of in its own nascent stage at this point. So what we would like to do is to just have it spread in the Western world, even if it happens to be within the South Asian diaspora that is spread in the Western world. Maybe if you're talking about UK or US or any other, South Africa or any other English-speaking countries, right? So that's also a good thing. If you can do that, that'll be awesome. We want this channel to be exclusively English only. And then if this one picks up, then Philo Sapience, the other channel, would become our Hindi Urdu only. And maybe in that case, we'll see a growth because our, at least understanding, or my understanding, is that since we do English and Hindi mixed streams on Philo Sapience, it's confusing the YouTube algorithm, and sometimes we don't get a lot of viewers. So let's try and experiment that. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Before we close the any closing remarks, Kelly or Maden?
No,
nothing.
All right. So thank you both for being wonderful co-hosts, and thanks everybody for joining, and see you guys sometime soon. Ciao.
Mm-hmm.